Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and enjoy this fanfic part 3. Now let's start the fanfic. As Naruto walked through the place of his disgust, he looked around the village for any hints of recruits. He did have the Inuzuka clan to back him up, but he wasn't going to use Sum and Hana like they were objects to him. He did love them all, but he realized that to destroy Konoha, he would still need some more. I probably need a strategist in my destruction of Konoha, Naruto thought as he walked through the village ignoring the obvious glares of hate at him. As he walked, Naruto suddenly chuckled evilly. Don't worry you holes, your time will come also, I will make every single one of you pay, Naruto said to himself as he continued his stroll through Konoha. Naruto's eyes looked up as he saw someone in a shop. He suddenly smiled as he walked over to the girl to give her some company. Hey Kin, how you doing? Naruto said, causing her to jump a bit. Kin turned around to see Naruto's face next to hers. Kin suddenly blushed as she looked at the blonde's face. She tried to speak, but words seemed to escape her mouth as she looked at him. Calm down, he is just the boy with the hot body that saved your life. I think my consciousness is slipping, Kin thought as she continued to gaze at Naruto. Naruto smiled as he put his hand to her forehead, making her blush grow dark. You don't have a fever, so why are you so red? He asked her. Kin's eyes widened as she backed away from him. It's nothing, I am just a bit tired. Well, I have to go, Kin said as she tried to run out the door, but was stopped by Naruto. Now Kin-chan, we need to catch up, Naruto told her as he took her hand and ran outside. Kin blushed as she felt Naruto's hand on hers. As Naruto ran through Konoha, he suddenly stopped once he realized he wasn't in the civil area, but he came to a training ground. Naruto smiled as he turned to see Kin panting next to him. There, now we have some quiet, Naruto said to her. Kin stopped panting only to blush as she looked around to see that they were the only ones in the area. Kin saw Naruto sit next to a tree as he leaned his body back against it. Naruto smiled as he motioned for Kin to sit next to him. Kin blushed, but consented to the request. She soon sat next to Naruto as they laid back and took in a fresh breath of air. Kin slowly turned her head as she looked at his body. Kin blushed when she saw his hair blow in the breeze. Why is he so hot? Kin wondered as she continued to look at him. Naruto smiled as he felt her intense gazes over his body. Naruto smiled as he turned to her. Is there something you like, Kin-chan? Naruto asked her. Kin snapped out of her daze as she turned her head away in embarrassment. Nothing, Naruto. Sorry for staring, she simply said to him. Naruto smiled as he leaned back. It's alright, Kin-chan, Naruto said to her. Kin nodded her head though Naruto didn't see it. Kin suddenly remembered her encounter with him in the Forest of Death. She remembered how he seemed to make Dozu sweat under his gaze as he saw Zaku hit her. She also thought his group was insane with the way the brunette dismembered her teammate as she seemed to enjoy it. She also remembered how she thought she was going to die by the blonde, but instead he looked to see if she was okay. His eyes that gazed into hers seemed to ignite her soul as she felt she could just easily trust him. Not even her own village could bring this much trust out in her. Kin slowly turned to the blonde. Thank you, she said to him. Naruto turned to her and raised an eyebrow. For what? He asked her. Kin turned her full body to him as she looked at him. For the Forest of Death incident, my teammates are pricks, I can't stand them, Kin said to him, the last part somewhat under her breath. Naruto looked at her and smiled, turning his full body to her as he cupped her chin. Think nothing of it, Kin-chan, people who hurt their teammates aren't fit to be called ninja, and I did it because I wanted to, Naruto told her. Kin seemed a bit confused by his statement. But why? She asked him. Naruto looked at her and smiled as he closed his eyes. Maybe I am a for a cute girl, Naruto told her. Kin blushed heavily as she looked at him. Kin slowly lowered her head as her hair covered her eyes. Naruto turned to her with a bit of confusion. Kin-chan, Naruto said to her. Kin looked up and lunged forward to kiss Naruto on his lips. Naruto was surprised by the kiss, but he seemed to respond to it rather fast as he wrapped his arms around Kin as she pushed him against the tree. Both let the kiss overcome them as Kin invaded Naruto's mouth, much to his surprise. Naruto smiled as he felt his tongue be caressed by Kin's as they swirled around. Soon Kin separated from Naruto as she looked at him with a blush on her face. Naruto smiled as he looked at her. Not that I mind, but what was that for Kin-chan? Naruto asked her with a smile. Kin blushed as she stared at Naruto. That was a thank you for what you have done, Kin said to him. Naruto looked at and smiled. Thank you Kin-chan, Naruto told her. Kin suddenly smiled as she laid in his chest. Suddenly Naruto heard something that made him smile again. I don't want to, Kin said as she pushed her face into his chest. Naruto looked at her. What is it Kin-chan? Naruto asked her. Kin looked up at him while a few tears rolled down her face. I don't want to leave Naruto-kun, Kin said to him. Naruto looked at her in surprise. Kin decided to continue. I have come to love you. I don't know much about you, but I know enough to know why I don't want to leave you. For me, to live in a village where everyone is mean to you and abuses you isn't what I want, Kin honestly told him. Naruto smiled as he looked at her. Then stay with me, he simply told her. Kin looked up at him hoping that this wasn't a dream. Really I can stay? She asked him. Naruto nodded with a smile as he hugged her. Don't leave my side Kin-chan, Naruto told her. Kin blushed as she nodded. I never will Naruto-kun, Kin said as she took out a kunai. Naruto looked at her sway the kunai back and forth as she suddenly smiled. Kin brought the kunai to her forehead protector and quickly made a slash across the Odo sign. Naruto smiled as he looked at her. You know we should take you to the Hokage now, cause right now you are a missing nin, Naruto told her. Kin smiled as she looked at him. Lead the way Naruto-kun, Kin said to him. Naruto's smile wavered a bit as he stood up. Kin, do you really love me? Naruto asked her. Kin looked at him and honestly nodded. Yes I do Naruto-kun, she told him. Naruto sighed. Then I will have to tell you about myself, Naruto said to her as he dismissed the henge. Kin looked to see a taller version of Naruto along with fox ears and a fox tail that swayed around. Kin looked at him and could only come up with 3 words. Too damn hot, Kin thought to herself. Naruto smiled as looked at her. Naruto placed a privacy seal as he turned back to her. Kin, I want you to know that I am going to destroy Konoha, Naruto told her. Kin was a bit surprised at his claim. Seeing that she was confused, Naruto decided to skip the long speech and placed his hand on her head. Soon Kin was in tears as she was flooded with memories of his childhood and his future. She could only wonder how he could even show the emotion of love after what she saw. Kin saw a young Naruto get beaten, tortured, burned, poisoned and anything else she didn't want to think of. Naruto sighed as he took his hand off her head. Kin fell to the ground in tears as she looked at him. I am going to burn this village to the ground Kin, I won't force you, but will you help? Naruto asked her. Kin lifted her head up to Naruto. She could only look at him as she went to her thoughts. This damn village, who the hell do they think they are? I haven't been this disgusted for a very long time. Naruto-kun is no demon, if he was, he could have destroyed you all. I will fight for him, I will be more than glad to help, Kin thought as she smiled. I would love to help you Naruto-kun, Kin said with a smile. Naruto looked at her and smiled back. He suddenly hugged her as he hung back. Thank you, Kin-chan. I am happy to have you on my side and as something more, Naruto told her. Kin simply nodded as she hugged him back. Naruto smiled as he took her to the Hokage mansion. Hokage mansion. Sarutobi was sitting in his office doing his dreaded paperwork as he wondered when he would have some time to himself. Soon he heard a knock on the door as he looked up. Come in, Sarutobi said with a sigh. Soon a blonde and brunette entered the office as Sarutobi smiled. Hello Naruto and Miss. Kin smiled as she stepped forward. Kagami. Kagami, Kin said to him. Sarutobi nodded when he saw the slashed-out Odo symbol on her headband and turned to Naruto. I take it you want me for something? He asked the blonde. Naruto smiled as he nodded. That's right Gigi, can you make Kin a Konoha shinobi? Naruto asked Sarutobi. Sarutobi sighed as he laid back into his chair. He started to ponder over Naruto's request as he looked at the blonde and brunette who were begging. Sarutobi sighed as he smiled. There might not be any free time for me today, oh well, he thought as he leaned forward. Alright fine, she can be one, you should be lucky that you crossed out the symbol, it would have been another issue if you didn't, Sarutobi said with a smile. Kin's face beamed as she pounced on Naruto and kissed his face. Naruto smiled as he wasn't complaining about her kisses. Sarutobi chuckled lightly as he had the two compose themselves. Kin took off her headband and placed it on the Hokage's desk. Sarutobi opened a drawer as he took out a leaf headband. Welcome to Konoha, Kin Kagami, Sarutobi said to her. Kin smiled with a nod as she adorned the leaf symbol. Thank you Hokage-sama, Kin said to him. Sarutobi nodded as he started to file paperwork for a new shinobi that was added to his village. Soon Kin and Naruto left as they roamed the streets of Konoha. As they walked, Kin grabbed Naruto's arm as they continued their leisurely walk. So where do I live? Kin decided to ask. Naruto smiled. Why you live with me of course, Naruto told her like it was the simplest thing in the world. Kin blushed at the thought of living with Naruto as they walked. I like that idea, Kin said to him. Naruto nodded with a smile. As the two passed the village, they were suddenly stopped when Kin heard her name. Both turned around to see her former teammates Dozu and Zaku walk up to her. Kin flinched as Naruto moved her behind him. Soon enough, Dozu and Zaku came up to them and narrowed their eyes. What the hell are you doing you stupid woman? Come on it is time to go, Dozu told her. Kin narrowed her eyes and shook her head. Zaku looked at her as narrowed his eyes. Didn't you hear Dozu bitch? It is time to go, Zaku told her. No, Kin said to them. Both were surprised that she talked back to them. Dozu grew a vein as he grabbed her wrist. I said we are leaving, he said as he pulled her away from Naruto. Naruto narrowed his eyes as he stepped forward and grabbed Dozu's hand. Naruto gripped Dozu's hand as he began to crush the bones in his arm. Dozu screamed as Naruto managed to snap a part of his arm. Dozu stepped back as he gripped his arm in pain. Naruto smiled as he grabbed Kin and brought her back into his embrace. Do you know the penalty for trying to force a Konoha shinobi? Naruto said with a smile. Dozu and Zaku narrowed their eyes as they looked at Kin's forehead to see the leaf headband on her head. Dozu seethed as he looked at Kin. Kin, why the hell do you have that leaf headband? Dozu asked at her. Kin smiled as she leaned on Naruto's head. I am not being your abusive doll anymore, I am staying here in the village with Naruto-kun, Kin blatantly said to them. Zaku and Dozu seethed more as they tried to grab Kin again, but were suddenly kicked into an alley by Naruto. Naruto sighed as he turned to Kin. Kin, do you care about these two in any way? Naruto asked her. Kin smiled as she shook her head. Not in the least Naruto-kun, Kin said to him. Naruto smiled as he cracked his knuckles. Then Kin, I want you to cover your ears and count slowly to 10, Naruto told her. Kin nodded as she sat down, covered her ears as Naruto put up a privacy seal. Naruto walked into the alley and smirked. Time to exterminate some insects, Naruto said with a demonic smile. Naruto's eyes changed to slits and from blue to red as he walked to them. Dozu and Zaku suddenly had fear in their eyes as Naruto broke his henge and sharpened the nails in his hand. 1. Kin counted. Naruto smiled as he lunged at them. 2. Naruto shot his hand forward as he pierced Dozu's stomach. Dozu screamed in pain as he looked at the hand that was in his stomach. 3. Naruto gripped Dozu's insides and ripped them out of his body. Naruto smiled as he heard Dozu scream. 4. Naruto then slashed across Dozu's body as he pierced his flesh. Zaku looked in fear as he tried to run. Naruto smiled as he turned to Zaku. 5. Naruto smiled as he ran after Zaku and grabbed his arms. 6. Naruto laughed as he gripped Zaku's arms and put his foot on his back. 7. Naruto began to pull as Zaku screamed from having his arms ripped from his body. Zaku screamed out in pain at the feeling. 8. Naruto casted the arms away as he picked up Zaku by his collar. 9. Naruto smiled as Zaku stared in horror as he saw his end in Naruto's eye. Naruto smiled as he slashed his hand forward. 10. Kin finished as Naruto walked out of the alley. Naruto cracked his knuckles as he grabbed Kin. Well, shall we go? Naruto said to her. Kin smiled as she nodded. Let's go home, Naruto-kun, Kin said to him. Naruto nodded as they shunshined straight to the compound. Namikaze compound. Everyone was laying around the house with some people playing cards or others training. I am home, Naruto yelled. Everyone smiled as they came to the doorway. Oh hey Naruto-kun, did you bring anyone back? Shizune asked him. Naruto smiled as he brought Kin around his arm. Everyone meet Kin Kagami, our new ally, Naruto said to them. Everyone smiled as they nodded. Hello Kin, Sume said to her. Kin smiled as she bowed. Hello everyone, Kin said to them. Naruto smiled. Well Kin, take a look around the house and pick the room that you want. I know of a way to get your stuff from Oto, I will do that later, okay? Naruto told her. Kin nodded as she walked around the house. Shizune smiled as she leaned next to Naruto. So Naru-kun got Kin, huh? Shizune said to him. Naruto chuckled as he grabbed Shizune and gave her a deep kiss. As he broke the kiss, Naruto smiled. You jealous Shizu-chan? Naruto asked her. Shizune smiled with a pout. Oh, you are so mean, Naruto-kun, but maybe I am a bit jealous, Shizune said to him. Naruto smiled as he went upstairs. So is everyone keeping up with their training? Naruto asked them. Zabuza smiled with a nod. Got more than half the techniques in the scroll down Gaki, Zabuza said to him. I have a new jutsu that I can use in the Chunin exams, Haku said with a blush. Me, Hana, and Kiba have developed some techniques also, Sume said to him. Naruto nodded, then turned to Shizune. And you Shizu-chan? Shizune smiled as she kissed Naruto. I never kiss and tell Naru-kun, Shizune said as she went upstairs. Naruto sighed as he soon followed. Naruto decided to take a shower as to get a weird smell off of him. I guess I will go and take a shower, Naruto thought as he headed to the bath. With Kurenai, the Genjutsu mistress was currently at home as she tried to find a dress for her date with the blonde that she just asked out. I think this will be good for the date, yeah I will go with this, Kurenai said as she laid the dress on the bed. I hope Naruto-kun likes this, Kurenai said to herself. Kurenai smiled at the thought of going on a date with Naruto. Sure, he was quite young for her age, but she still held a great fascination for him as she heard of his exploits in Wave Country. I can't wait to see him in the Chunin exams, I hope he wins, Kurenai said to herself again as she laid on her bed. With Sasuke and Kakashi. Sasuke huffed as he nearly finished his sensei's original technique. Naruto fell to the ground exhausted as he wiped the sweat from his brow. Naruto glanced around his compound as he smiled at seeing his family train. Anko was currently fighting Zabuza in a sword duel. Haku, Kin, and Shizune were also battling it out, though they seemed to be having a lot of fun with their fight. Tsume was teaching Hana and Kiba some of the clan's techniques. Naruto smiled as he wasn't going to slack either. Naruto picked up his father's scroll as he looked over the Hiraishin technique again. Mantu-san, how am I supposed to remember the seals for this technique? This feels impossible, Naruto said to himself as he went over the scroll again. As Naruto read, the scroll explained the type of seals need in order to perform the deadly Hiraishin, but it never said the specific order for it. Naruto managed to get the order of the scrolls down as he managed to find a picture of his father with the kunai in his hand. Naruto was able to put the seals in order. Naruto's first attempt at the Hiraishin was good as he was able to teleport 3 feet from his compound. Naruto sighed as he closed the scroll. You better be happy I am a stamina freak too, San, otherwise this just you would be impossible for me, Naruto thought as he laid in the field. Unknown to him, Shizune walked up and gave him a kiss on the cheek that snapped him out of his daze. And to what do I owe the honor of that? Naruto asked her as he licked his lips. Shizune smiled as she sat next to him. You owe nothing, just felt like kissing my demon mate, Shizune said to him. Naruto chuckled as he laid back. I see, Naruto told her. Shizune nodded as she laid next to him. So how is the Hiraishin technique going? She asked him. Naruto suddenly looked at her then at the sky. It's so damn chakra taxing, I swear that Minato should be a demon for this technique, Naruto told her. Shizune smirked. Well, to Aiwa he was the only person in the bingo book with a flea on sight title, Shizune said to him. Naruto nodded as he got up. That is true, isn't it? Naruto thought as he got up. Shizune got up with him as he walked to his group. Everyone turned to see Naruto come up to them as they all relaxed and stopped what they were doing. Alright everyone, let's all sit down, Naruto told them as everyone sat down to hear what their leader would say. Naruto breathed as he looked at them. Alright, I can tell that everyone is doing a good job, but I want to know if anyone knows somebody else who can help. Naruto asked them. Everyone looked at him as they all took thinking poses. Kin smiled as she looked at him. I know someone, Kin said to him. Naruto turned to her and smiled. He let her continue as she nodded. One of my few friends, her name is Tayuya, she is kind of a foul mouth, but I know she can definitely help with Konoha's destruction, Kin said to them. Naruto smiled as he remembered Tayuya. He remembered Shikamaru talking about his encounter with her. He called her a pain in the butt, but he said she was a genius when it came to fighting. Naruto smiled. Thank you, Kin. I will be more than happy to try and get her, Naruto said to her. Kin blushed, but nodded. Tsume smiled also as she decided to speak also. I think that the Nara clan might join, Tsume told him. Naruto quirked up an eyebrow as he looked at Tsume. They always did say from time to time that Konoha was sometimes becoming too troublesome for them and some of the lower clan members even tried to leave, Tsume told him. Naruto smiled at her suggestion. He knew that the Nara clan was also nicknamed the Genius Clan, because it seemed that being a genius was a trait in that clan. Naruto nodded. Thank you, Tsume. I will look into that, Naruto said as he gave her a kiss. Tsume blushed, but nodded also. Everyone couldn't think of anyone else in the village that would help, so Naruto decided to leave it at that. Everyone returned to their original plans. Naruto smiled as he walked over to Tsume, Kiba, and Hana. I think I have a few combination techniques of me and you three, Naruto told them. Everyone smiled with a nod. What is it, Naruto? Kiba asked him. Naruto smiled as he pointed to a secluded spot. Everyone followed him as they left the others in the compound. As they were a safe distance away, Naruto decided to talk. Sume, you and Kuromaru are probably the only ones who can do this one with me, Naruto told her. Sume's tail swayed as she felt excited. Sume nodded as Naruto told her the idea. This technique is called Kaden. Karyu Gatsuga, Fire Style. Fire Dragon Passing Fang, Naruto told her. Sume smiled with a nod as did Kuromaru. Naruto smiled at her enthusiasm. Sume, hearing the Kaden part, was able to form an idea of what the jutsu was about. Naruto smiled as he took out a kunai and marked a tree. Alright, this is just a practice, so we will only do this once for today, Naruto told her. Sume and Kuromaru nodded as they got up. Hana and Kiba, along with their companions, back up a safe distance as Naruto, Sume, and Kuromaru got into position. Naruto-san, so we just have to hit the target for now? Kuromaru asked him. Naruto nodded as he patted Kuromaru. Much to the surprise of Kiba and Hana, Kuromaru slightly smiled as he allowed Naruto to scratch his ears. Sume smiled at Naruto's interaction with Kuromaru as Naruto decided to stop, much to Kuromaru's disappointment. Naruto smiled as he looked at him. Yeah, Kuromaru, that is all for now, we will work on maneuvering you later, Naruto told him. Kuromaru nodded as he and Sume turned to the target. Naruto smiled as he got behind them. Ready to you too, Naruto told them. Kuromaru nodded as Sume answered. Ready when you are, Naru-kun, Sume said to him. Naruto smiled as he looked at the target. Go, Naruto told them. Almost immediately Sume and Kuromaru ran off at the target. Gatsuga, Sume yelled as they jumped slightly and began to spin violently at the target. Naruto smiled as he quickly did his hand signs. Kaden, Karyu Enden, Naruto yelled as he blew a fierce fire from his mouth that shot forward at Sume and Kuromaru. Both were instantly engulfed by the fire as Kiba and Hana waited for them to appear. Naruto smiled as he looked to see Sume and Kuromaru still spiraling in a flaming Gatsuga as they collied with the tree, causing said tree to break and catch on fire as they plowed through an section of the forest. Naruto, Hana, and Kiba ran to Sume as they looked to see a smirking Sume and Kuromaru in a burnt section of the land. Man, that was fun, Sume told them. Naruto smiled as he inspected Sume. Oh good, you don't seem to have any burns or bruises from the fire, Naruto told her. Sume nodded as she looked at the burnt line she made. Sume soon turned to Naruto. So I am guessing that you knew Kaden Jutsu in the future? She asked him. Naruto nodded. Yeah, I just wanted to expand some jutsu capabilities. It seemed like a good style, so I learned some of it, Naruto told her. Sume nodded as Kiba and Hana walked up to him with their tails wagging. What is mine, Naruto? Kiba asked, very energetic. Naruto smiled as he turned to Kiba. Kiba, do you know the wolf transformation jutsu with Akamaru? Naruto asked him. Kiba shook his head. He had been working on it, but it wasn't able to be complete yet. Naruto smiled as he looked at Kiba. Learn that first. When you have learned that, then I will do our jutsu, Naruto told him. Kiba nodded as he pumped his fist slightly in the air. Naruto smiled as he turned to Hana. Alright Hana, the just you that you and me have is called Fuden, Tenfuga, wind style. Rotating wind fang, Naruto told her. Hana nodded with a smile as she and the Heimaru brothers swayed their tails. Naruto smiled as he explained the technique to her. Hana smiled with a nod as they got into position. Naruto smiled, but waited to think. Hold on Hana, let me think for a second, Naruto told her. Hana nodded as she and her huskies waited for him. Naruto thought over the technique. Okay, I can't obviously do the same with the Karyu Gatsuga since that one can be shot out of the mouth. This one might required some thinking, Naruto thought as he looked at Hana. Naruto soon thought of another just you as he looked at Hana. Suddenly Naruto smiled as he looked at her. Naruto got up and walked over to Hana. Okay Hana. Let's go now, Naruto told her. Hana smiled with a nod as she and her huskies got up. Naruto smiled as he focused his hands on Hana and her dogs. Naruto closed his eyes and waited. Tsume and Kiba looked as the wind blowed. Soon Hana was covered by a sort of wind armor that wrapped around her and her dogs. Naruto smiled as he looked at Hana. Go, he told her. Hana smiled as the four ran off. Hana and her dogs smiled as they began to spin. Gatenga, Hana yelled as she and her pups began to roll forward, forming a buzz-like saw that was further enhanced by the wind. The buzz sound intensified as did the blades of the technique. Soon Hana and her pups hit some trees as they cut the tree clean off and managed to cut a few others off from the range of the winds. Hana and her pups stopped rotating as they looked to see a bit of the forest buzzed clean. Hana smiled as she turned back. That was cool Naruto-kun, Hana yelled at him. Naruto smiled with a nod to Hana. I am glad you liked it, Naruto told her. Hana nodded in approval as they went back. Soon Naruto saw that the sun was going down and decided to head back to the compound with Tsume, Hana, and Kiba. As they arrived at the compound they were able to see that the garden was virtually empty as everyone went inside. As they headed inside they looked to see everyone enjoying dinner. Naruto smirked as he saw Kiba, Hana, and Tsume go to the table. Naruto went upstairs as he looked at the time. Naruto had only 3 more hours until his date with Kurenai. Naruto sighed as he walked downstairs and went outside to head into the village for a while. Village streets. Naruto walked through the streets as he saw some of the street lights go up. Naruto sighed as he ignored the regular intense glares of hate at him. Naruto managed to some of his friends around the town as he gave them a quick hello. As he walked through the town, Naruto saw out of the corner of his eye, the Suna team as they walked through the village. Naruto smiled as he approached them. Well, if it isn't the cute wind mistress, the sand user and the clown, Naruto said to them, drawing their attention. Kankuro narrowed his eyes as he yelled at Naruto. I am not a clone, it is war paint, Kankuro said to him. Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Could have fooled me, Naruto said to him. Temari laughed at Kankuro as he seethed in anger. What do you want, Uzumaki? Gaara asked him. Naruto's smile went south as he looked at the Sand siblings. Alright, then I will tell you, Naruto said to them. Everyone turned to him as he smirked. It won't work, Naruto told them. Everyone quirked an eyebrow as they looked at him. What won't work? Kankuro asked him. Naruto smiled. Your invasion plan won't work, Naruto said to them, causing the siblings to go wide-eyed. How the hell do you know? Temari asked him. Naruto chuckled as he looked at them. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Oh, and Gaara, don't try to attack me cause you won't beat me, Naruto said to him. Gaara narrowed his eyes as he withdrew some of his sand that he thought was hidden. Naruto smirked as he walked up to them. Sorry, but you guys aren't destroying Konoha, that is reserved for me and me alone, Naruto told them. The three looked at him like he was insane. He was a Konoha shinobi, could his reason be for trying to destroy his own village? Oh, and just to let you know, your father is dead, Orochimaru from Odo has impersonated him and is using you, Naruto told them. All three were shocked to hear Naruto's claim. Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Well, believe me or not, it is your choice, I don't really care, but just so you know, you will not destroy Konoha, Naruto said as he walked past them. Naruto whispered to the still shocked Gaara. And don't try to lose yourself to the bloodlust, you are in the Sun Kyuubi's territory, You got the Tanyuki, Naruto said to him. Gaara narrowed his eyes as Naruto looked at Temari and kissed her hand. Till later, my wind mistress, Naruto said to her as he left them, leaving a shocked Kankuro and Gaara, along with a blushing Temari. After a few minutes in their thoughts, the siblings managed to come back to reality. We need to talk to Baki about this, Gaara said to them. Both nodded in agreement as they shunshined out of the streets. With Naruto. Naruto was smiling as he walked the streets of Konoha. Naruto couldn't believe he was able to shake Gaara up so much. Well, I think that I will go home and change now, Naruto thought as he headed home. Soon Naruto stopped in the streets as he heard something interesting. So Neji, do you think that Naruto can beat Shino? Said someone. Naruto popped his head through the door to see Tenten and Neji in a weapons shop. Well, it seems the weapons mistress and Destiny's bitch are talking about me, Naruto said in his thoughts. HMPH, that kid is a failure and he always will be. Shino is going to beat that fool and there is nothing he can do to change that, Neji said to her. Naruto smirked. Says the guy who called Hinata a failure and got his kicked, Naruto said in his thoughts again as he heard the conversation. Care to make a bet on that, Neji? Tenten told him. Neji smirked, but nodded. This is in the bag, Neji thought. Fine, Tenten, what is your wager? He asked her. Tenten thought. Alright, if I win then you will have to denounce Destiny for the rest of your life, Tenten said to him. Neji smirked and nodded. Alright, and if I win you will have to go on a date with Naruto, Neji told her. Tenten turned, looked at Neji and nodded. That isn't really a bad thing, Tenten thought. Heck, I might date him even if he does win, Tenten thought again. Naruto managed a smirk. Well, this is turning out interesting, Naruto thought. Neji and Tenten nodded and shook hands. It's a deal, they both said to the other. Naruto nodded and disappeared. I just got a good piece of information, Naruto said to himself as he went home. Oh well, I will worry about that later. Now I must spend time with my genjutsu mistress, Naruto thought as he went home to get dressed. Namikaze compound. I am home, everyone, Naruto said to them. Everyone nodded as Naruto went upstairs. Oh, that's right, Naru-kun has another date, doesn't he? Sume said to her friends. That is right, he is going to take Nai-chan out, Anko said to her. Sume nodded as she remembered her date with Naruto. I think Naru-kun is the perfect date for women, Haku said to them. No kidding, Shizune decided to say. All the girls nodded in agreement as they sat around talking. With Naruto. Naruto managed to get his suit from his closet as he put it on and smiled at the softness of it. Alright, let's get going, Naruto said as he walked down the stairs. On his way out, Naruto could hear the whistles and the cat calls at him from the girls. Naruto shook his head as he closed the door and walked over to Kurenai's house. With Kurenai, Kurenai smiled as she waited for Naruto to arrive at her house. I wonder where we will be going, Kurenai said to herself as she got up. Kurenai was sporting a red dress that came down to her knees. Her hair was much a bit more brushed, but still had the same style that she normally wore. Her shoes were red high heels that made her even more pretty. All in all, she was more than worthy of being called one of the hottest women in Konoha. Soon she heard a knock on the door as she opened it to see Naruto at her doorstep. Wow, Kurenai-chan, you looked amazing, Naruto told her. Kurenai blushed a deep red and smiled. Thank you very much, Naruto-kun, so are you ready to go? She asked him. Naruto nodded as he took her hand and the two walked off. With Naruto and Kurenai. As Naruto and Kurenai left her house, both roamed the streets of Konoha as they got questionable glares from everyone. People was surprised that one of the most beautiful women in Konoha would lower herself to dating a demon child. Naruto sighed as he looked at them all, but held Kurenai's hand as to give her reassurance of their date. Don't worry, Kurenai. Let people say what they want, you and me will just enjoy ourselves, Naruto said to her. Kurenai looked at him and smiled. You are right, Naruto-kun. Let's go, Kurenai said to him. Naruto nodded as he brought her up to a restaurant for their date. Kurenai smiled as the waiter brought her and Naruto inside. Naruto pulled out his chair for her as she thanked him and sat down. Naruto took up his chair and sat down also. So while we wait for the waiter, please tell me about yourself, Kurenai, Naruto told her. Kurenai looked up at Naruto and smiled. What would you like to know? She asked him. Naruto smiled as he marveled at her beauty. Things you like, your dislikes, hobbies, let me know more about you, Naruto said to her. Kurenai nodded and began her introduction after a long breath. Alright, well, you do know that my name is Kurenai Yuhi. My likes are studying genjutsu, being with my friends and my squad. My hobby is having evening drinks as I rest during my times off. I dislike perverts, enemy nins, and for some reason that I don't remember, cake, Kurenai said to him. Naruto looked at her and almost laughed. You don't like cake? He asked her. Kurenai nodded. Yeah, I never got into that kind of sweet, Kurenai said to him. Naruto smiled as he nodded. So you like to have drinks in the evening? He asked her. Yes, it keeps me refreshed as I go throughout the day, what about you? She asked him. Naruto quirked up as he looked at her. Well, I like a lot of things, but I will narrow down the list for you, he said to her. Kurenai could only chuckle at him, but nodded. I like ramen, training, foxes, and my precious people. I dislike those who are arrogant and egotistical. Naruto decided to leave out his hate for Konoha as he knew that Kurenai wasn't ready for such information to be revealed, as she might turn on him and he might have had to her. My hobby is training to get stronger for the protection of my precious people, Naruto told her. Kurenai nodded with a smile as she looked at him. All great things, Naruto-kun, she said to him. Soon the waiter came as they took their orders and went back to talking. Kurenai told Naruto about her life as a kid and as a teenager. She told him how she was considered to be talented with genjutsu for her age and how well she excelled in studies of the mind and how it works. Kurenai also said how she was offered a job with the interrogation unit, but turned them down. Naruto marveled at her life up to this point. She really did seem like a very good woman with a good head on her shoulders. Okay, so tell me about you life, Naruto-kun, Kurenai said to him. Naruto sighed as he looked at her with an honest smile. Even though it was bad, Naruto felt that she should know. Naruto told her about his life as the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. He told her how he was often beaten and tortured by the people of Konoha. He also said how people would often overcharge him for supplies or how his education was messed up because of the teachers. All in all, Kurenai was in tears from his stories. She now had a loathing disgust for Konoha, but Naruto could tell that she was also being considerate. You have lived a very hard life, Naruto-kun, Kurenai said to him. Naruto chuckled, then cupped her chin. It doesn't matter, Kurenai-chan. In fact, up to this point I am thankful for it. It is because of that life that I can be with you and all the others, Naruto told her. Kurenai smiled as she nodded. Soon their food was served as the two ate. Other than small conversation, the meal was eaten in relative silence that both seemed to enjoy as they were just able to be happy with their closeness to each other. After both finished their food, Naruto smiled as he escorted Kurenai out of the restaurant only to run into two people that Naruto would avoid. HMPH, so Dobi, how many S is it now? Sasuke asked him. Naruto looked at him as his eyes turned to slits. Naruto walked up to Sasuke only to be interfered with by Kakashi. Naruto, stop. If you hurt Sasuke, then I am afraid that I must hurt you, Kakashi told him. Naruto scoffed. He knew that Kakashi couldn't really give him trouble. He didn't have the skills for it. The way Kakashi said it though made Naruto's anger skyrocket. Kurenai narrowed her eyes at Kakashi in disgust at the way he spoke to her date. She was even madder at Sasuke for calling her a Kakashi. If you don't move I am not afraid that I must hurt you, Naruto said to him. Kakashi narrowed his eyes as Naruto as he was about to take out a kunai. Kurenai smiled as she gripped Kakashi's hand. Kakashi, I would really like it if you didn't touch my date. I am having a good time and I would rather not you to enjoy it some more, Kurenai said in a sweet tone that promised death to Kakashi if he didn't back off of her blonde. Kakashi sighed then withdrew his hand. Sorry Kurenai. Let's go Sasuke. And, watch yourself Naruto, Kakashi said to him. Naruto breathed hard as he looked at Kakashi. Just tell you fake Kami over there to watch his mouth or I will be more than happy to remove it, Naruto said to Kakashi. Kakashi nodded as he and Sasuke walked, but not before the arrogant Uchiha gave his last comment. It just shows how much a bitch will protect her demon mate, Sasuke said with a smirk. Naruto lost it, but before he could get to Sasuke, he smiled when he saw Sasuke kicked into a wall, courtesy of Kurenai. Sasuke stumbled to his feet as he fell back down and clutched his stomach. Kurenai smiled as she leaned down to him and grabbed his collar. Look her Uchiha, just because my date can't touch you doesn't mean I can't, so I could really you and not get penalized for it. Now keep that arrogant mouth shut and walk away before I put you under a genjutsu so powerful that not even Itachi can break it, Kurenai said to him. Sasuke cursed as Kurenai turned around and walked back to Naruto. The couple soon disappeared from view, leaving a shocked Kakashi and a pissed Sasuke behind. That was so hot and cool Kurenai, Naruto said to her. Kurenai smiled as she looked at him. Thank you very much Naruto-kun, Kurenai said to him as they came up to her house. Naruto woke up to the rays of sunshine that penetrated his house as he tried to get up. Naruto suddenly felt something heavy on his body as he opened his eyes. What Naruto saw could only make him smile. Naruto said his ladies all over his body as they slept peacefully. Shizune was sleeping on Naruto's left shoulder and Haku was on his adjacent shoulder. Anko slept on one side of his stomach as Hana slept on the other side. Sum and Kin wrapped their bodies around his legs as everyone smiled from his warmth. Naruto smiled as he managed to lessen their grip on his body as he gave each girl a kiss on the cheek. Sleep well my ladies, Naruto said to them as he got up. Naruto opened the door as he went to wash up and start the day. As he washed his body, Naruto began to go to his thoughts. I know I will have to start looking for mother soon, but how am I supposed to find her? Naruto wondered as he washed himself. Naruto shrugged the thought off as he continued to wash himself. Unknown to him, someone managed to get into the bathroom undetected as they smiled. Soon they crept up to Naruto as they pounced on him much to his surprise. Naruto turned to see the figure as his face lit up. What are you doing Anko-chan? Naruto asked her. Anko smiled as she looked at him. I want some love Naruto-kun, I know that you did Shizune and Haku, are you forgetting about lil old me? Anko said with a fake sad expression. Naruto smiled as he looked at her. He suddenly found himself chuckling as he cupped her cheeks. Ah, is Anko-chan not feeling my love enough? Naruto said to her. Anko blushed, but slightly nodded. Naruto closed his eyes as he sighed. Well, we can't have any of that, can we? Naruto said as he pushed his head up as his lips crashed into hers. Anko was taken back by the motion, but quickly recovered as Naruto managed to get up and push her to the floor of the bath without breaking the connection of their lips. You know Anko-chan, I can't be gentle here, Naruto said to her. Anko blushed, but smiled. I don't care. Ravish me Naruto-kun, Anko said to him. Naruto nodded with a smile. Of course hubby Harem, Naruto said to her. Naruto and Anko walked out of the steamy bathroom as they looked to see most of the house smirking at them. So I take it that things got intense? Shizune asked them. Naruto smiled as he walked past them. You heard the noises, you should be able to tell Shizu-chan, Naruto said to her with a smile. Shizune chuckled as she followed Naruto downstairs. Everyone soon went downstairs as they continued their normal routines. As Naruto sat on the couch, he decided to speak. Everyone, I am going to go find Kushina soon, Naruto told the. Everyone looked at him and nodded. That being said, does anyone want to go with me? Naruto asked them. Everyone looked at each other and smiled. Anko raised her hand. I will go with you Naru-kun, Anko said to him. Naruto smiled with a nod at her. Sume raised her hand also. I will go also, it will be fun to meet her, Sume said with a smile. Naruto nodded as he looked for anyone else. We will stay here and monitor Konoha. I think that is for the best right now, Shizune said to him. Naruto nodded with a smile as he got up. All right then, Naruto said to them. He soon headed for the door. Oh wait Naruto-kun, why don't you accompany me with some shopping? I need supplies, Shizune said to him. Naruto looked at her and smiled as he held the door wider for her. Come on then Shizu-chan, Naruto said to her. Shizune smiled as she walked out with him. Be back later, Naruto said to them. Everyone nodded as they did idle conversation. Sume suddenly smiled. You know we have to spy, right? She said to them. Everyone looked at her like she was crazy. Why do we need to do that? Haku asked her. Sume turned to her. Oh, don't tell me you aren't interested in what they are going to do, Sume said to her. Haku blushed as she faced the floor. Sume nodded. My point taken. Let's go. This is also good stealth training, Sume said to them. Everyone reluctantly nodded as they all hanged and ran out the door. With Naruto and Shizune, as the Hanyu couple roamed the streets, they tried to ignore the oh-so-hateful glares that people were giving them. Unknown to everyone, Naruto and Shizune evilly smirked. Don't worry, you people will get yours. Don't think I am going to let you off for what you did, both thought as they roamed Konoha. Hokage Mansion. Sarutobi was currently tackling his paperwork as he stressed over the large amount that stacked his office. I swear, there are probably more papers in this office than there are people in Konoha, Sarutobi said to himself. Soon he heard a knock on the door as he looked up. Oh Kami, he said as he sighed. Come in, he reluctantly said. Soon Kakashi came in with Sasuke and Sakura as they appeared in front of the Hokage. Sarutobi narrowed his eyes as he looked at the two. What is it Kakashi, and why are Sasuke and Sakura here? He asked the copy ninja. Kakashi made an eye smile as he looked at the Hokage. I have a request Hokage-sama, he said to him. Sarutobi sighed as he took a puff of smoke. I don't like this already, he thought. What is it? He asked Kakashi. Kakashi cleared his throat as he decided to speak. Please allow Sasuke and Sakura to fight Naruto and Shizune, he said to him. No, Sarutobi simply said to him. Kakashi's sweat dropped as he looked at the third. Why not? He asked him. Why should I? First of all, Sakura right there isn't even a shinobi, and I said that the Chunin exams would be the opportunity to fight, Sarutobi explained to him. Kakashi nodded. Please reconsider Hokage-sama. I have seen Sakura and she has come a long way considering she technically didn't graduate. She has been roamed to be the next Genjutsu mistress, Kakashi said to him. Sarutobi rolled his eyes as he continued to hear Kakashi out. Please think of it as a preliminary match. Plus I have heard that a lot of people around Konoha want to see a rematch of Naruto and Shizune versus Sasuke and Sakura, Kakashi said to him. Sarutobi narrowed his eyes. So are you trying to bully Naruto-kun and Shizune-san just for your training? He asked. Of course not, Hokage-sama. This is just a practice to see how far they have come in a few weeks, Kakashi said to him. Sarutobi sighed as he looked at Sasuke and Sakura nod. So you seriously think that these two have improved a lot? He asked the Jonin. Yes, I do, Hokage-sama, Kakashi said to him. Fine, Kakashi. They can fight, but if Sasuke and Sakura lose, then you are being demoted to Chunin, Sarutobi said with a smile. Kakashi looked at him and nodded in gratitude. I have faith that they won't lose, Kakashi said as he escorted Sasuke and Sakura out. Sarutobi sighed as he took out a Chunin demotion paper. I might as well sign this thing now. There is no way those two can beat Naruto and Shizune. All Sasuke has done is D-rank missions, and Sakura, she shouldn't even be using jutsu. Oh well, it will be fun to see Kakashi's face, Sarutobi said with a smirk as he summoned an Anbu. He gave the instructions to the Anbu as he shunshined off. With Naruto and Shizune. As they walked around, Naruto and Shizune smiled as they walked into a weapons shop. As they walked inside, both looked around at the various weapons on the wall. Soon they came up to man who coughed, showing his face covered in soot. Gee, good morning, how may I help you today? He asked them. Naruto and Shizune smiled as they looked around. Naruto soon spotted a sword that seemed to be drawn to him. Naruto felt a strange aura from it as he grabbed it. Naruto unsheathed the blade to see it was finely made. Naruto didn't know much about swords, but he did spend time trying to understand them, and this sword seemed to be calling for him, like it wanted him specifically. How much for this sword? Naruto asked the man. The man took the sword and looked at it. Oh my sir, you have found a splendid sword. I can feel that this sword wants you as its owner. This sword is called Chiyuru, Blood Knight, the man said to him. Naruto smiled at the name. That sword is perfect for me. I can only think of how great it will feel to slice through the Uchiha with it, Naruto thought. Shizune smirked as she looked at the sword. So how much is it, Oji-san? Shizune asked him. The man smiled as he looked at them. This sword is around 234,384 yen, he said to them. Naruto and Shizune nodded as they were about to pay until they were stopped by the man. Since this sword favors the blonde so much, I will cut the price in half. It is now 117,188 yen, the man said to them. Naruto and Shizune smiled at each other and nodded. Naruto quickly paid for the sword as the man packaged it for him. Treat the sword with care, the man told him. Naruto nodded. I will. Thank you for this, Oji-san, Naruto said as he and Shizune left. As they walked the streets, Naruto looked over his weapon. He turned to Shizune. Kind of ironic that this sword is called Chiyuru, Naruto told her. Shizune nodded with a smile. It is definitely the sword to be used on the invasion, she told him. Naruto nodded with an evil chuckle. I know that is right, he said to her. As the two walked, they were suddenly stopped by an Anbu. Naruto and Shizune narrowed their eyes at the man with the mask. What do you want? Naruto asked him. The man looked at Naruto and sighed. I am sorry to disturb you, but you and your girlfriend right there are going to be fighting Uchiha Sasuke and Sakura Haruno in the Chunin exam stadium in 5 hours from now, he said to them. Naruto and Shizune looked at each other and sighed. Do we have a choice? They asked him. The man shook his head. Sorry, but you don't. That is an order. Goodbye, he said as he shunshined out of sight. Naruto and Shizune looked at each other and smiled. Oh well, we have something fun to do, Naruto said to her. Shizune smirked evilly as she showed her sharp canine teeth. It seems the emo and his bitch still don't know their place. They must really want to die badly, though I am not going to complain. I will give that pink bitch an even bigger kicking than the academy, a much bigger kicking, Shizune said to him. Naruto smirked. We might as well prepare for our fight, Naruto said to her. Shizune nodded in agreement as the Hanyu couple shunshined home. Unknown to them, Sum and her group overheard the news as they smiled. Are we going to watch? Kin asked her. Anko smiled. Hell yeah we are. I can't wait to see the Uchiha and his fangirl get plowed into the dirt, Anko said to them. Everyone nodded as they shunshined home also. Namikaze compound. As everyone reached home, Naruto and Shizune smiled. I guess you guys heard the news, Naruto said to them. Everyone nodded with a smile as Naruto opened the door. We are going to watch you beat the crap out of Sasuke and Sakura, Haku said with a smile. Naruto and Shizune nodded as everyone went inside. Uchiha compound. Sasuke laid in his training field as he looked at the destroyed trees and practice targets. Sasuke smirked as he laid there. In 5 hours I will show the Dobi why he shouldn't mess with the natural order of things, Sasuke said as he got up and walked inside. Sakura's house. The pink howler monkey was currently packing her and sealing her weapons for battle for her rematch against Shizune. That Academy Day had been a real wake-up call for Sakura as she remembered the day. I will make you pay, Sakura declared. Flashback. Worthless, useless, these are your traits, Shizune said as she held Sakura in her hand like she was nothing but an insect. Shizune laughed manically as she tore Sakura's body apart. Sakura felt her end coming until she passed out from the pain. The next thing she knew she was inside the hospital room with lots of bandages on her body. What happened? Sakura wondered. She suddenly shot her eyes open. That's right, that girl nearly'd me, Sakura said to herself. Sakura fumed as she remembered the events. I have much to learn, and because of her I don't think I will graduate. Well, no matter. I will. The damn girl, she will regret the day she crossed me. When I beat her Sasuke will come to love me, Sakura said with a smile. I know the perfect thing to work on for her, Sakura thought as she laid in the bed. Flashback end. That has only strengthened my resolve. You won't beat me again, you bitch, Sakura said with a smile. 5 hours later, Chunin Exam Stadium 4 o'clock p.m. The stadium was packed with people as everyone couldn't wait for Sasuke and Sakura to put the demon and his bitch in their place. As the stadium filled, the other members of Naruto's family filled the sections. Oh, this is going to be good, Kiba said with excitement. Haku and everyone else nodded. I know, right? I wonder how long Sakura will be in the hospital now, Haku said with a smile. I wonder if she is even going to survive along with that Uchiha, Zabuza said to them. If they do, then it is only because Naru-kun and Shizu-chan want that, Sum said, making everyone nod. Sarutobi and the rest of the Jonin came into place as everyone waited. I can't wait to see this, Asuma said to them. Kurenai smirked. My Naruto is going to beat that Uchiha to the ground, Kurenai boldly said to him. Asuma's eyes narrowed. Care for a wager? He asked her. Kurenai sighed. Fine, what is it? She asked him. If I win, you break up with Naruto and date me, Asuma said to her. Kurenai shook her head in disappointment. And if you win, I leave you alone from now on, Asuma said to her. Kurenai quirked up an eyebrow. Fine deal, but you will leave me alone when he wins, Kurenai said to him. Asuma smirked. If he wins, Asuma said to her. Kakashi and Guy decided to interfere. Oh well, let's see then, Kakashi said to them. Guy nodded with his blinding smile as he faced them. Their youth will explode on the field today, Guy said to them. Everyone's sweat dropped, but nodded. Even the rookie 9 were here for the fight. That kid has no chance against Sasuke, Ino said with a smile. Shikamaru looked at her. I don't think so, Ino. I think Naruto is going to win, Shikamaru said to her. Ino huffed and turned her head. Whatever Shikamaru, Ino blatantly said to him. Shikamaru sighed. Troublesome, Shikamaru said to himself. If that blonde tries to defy destiny, then he is screwed. One can't defy destiny, Neji said to them. Tenten shook her head. I think Naruto can win. We can now see his abilities since the previous person was a coward in the prelims, Tenten said to him. Neji huffed and continued to look at the stadium. Lee went on about youth as Choji munched away at his chips. Soon Sarutobi stood in the middle of the field. We will have an exhibition match between Naruto Shizune and Sasuke Sakura, Sarutobi yelled. Soon the four people came into view as they stood across from each other. Sasuke and Sakura smirked as Naruto and Shizune talked to each other through their mental link. Sarutobi nodded. First match. Shizune Kato vs Sakura Haruno, Sarutobi yelled. Everyone cheered for Sakura to beat the demon's mate as they boosted Sakura's confidence. Naruto and Sasuke moved out of the field. Naruto passed Shizune and whispered into her ear. Try not to her, he said as he went out of sight. Shizune smirked, but nonetheless nodded. Sarutobi let his hand down. Hajime, he said as he backed up. Sakura smiled as she took out a kunai and threw it at Shizune. Shizune showed a look of indifference as she grabbed the kunai. Too slow pink bitch, Shizune said to her. Sakura smirked as she pivoted her foot and disappeared. Shizune smirked as she gave a fake impressed reaction. Oh, so the bitch learned some moves, Shizune said as she twirled the kunai. Sakura appeared behind Shizune with a smile. It seems you haven't been training, you are so slow now, Sakura said as she brought her foot out to strike. Sakura gasped as she saw Shizune disappear. Sakura spun around and looked around for Shizune. Shizune's voice echoed in the stadium. So the pink bitch is trying to grow a pair now, well bring it, Shizune said to her. Sakura smirked. So come out of hiding, she said to her. Shizune smiled. Alright, she said as Sakura gasped in pain. Sakura looked to see Shizune's fist collied with her stomach. Shizune smirked as she followed up with a kick to the face sending Sakura into a tree. Shizune smiled as she looked at her work. Soon Sakura disappeared in a puff of smoke. Kage Bunshin huh? Not bad, but I have had enough of this stupid genjutsu, Shizune said as she dispelled the jutsu. Shizune smiled as she dispelled one more time in case the genjutsu was double layered. Sakura smiled as she thought Shizune was still in her genjutsu. Now your beating comes, Sakura said as she ran out. The crowd cheered as Sakura's steps quickened. This is the end, she said as she brought a kunai out. Shizune smiled as she turned around and slammed Sakura in the stomach, making a massive impact sound. Sakura fell to her knees as she looked up at Shizune. You broke the genjutsu? She asked her. Shizune laughed as she looked at Sakura. No duh bitch, a genjutsu of that level can't do anything to me, and people call you the next genjutsu mistress, no in way, Shizune said to her. Sakura stood back up as she threw out a punch that Shizune easily dodged. You are still too slow, and you still don't know your place, Shizune said as she ducked under the punch and gave Sakura a sharp uppercut to the chin. Sakura groaned as she fell back, trying not to fall. Shizune smirked to her. So you think I don't train huh? Well, in 4 hits you will be out cold, Shizune said to her. Sakura scoffed as she got up. Bring it bitch, Sakura said to her. Shizune smirked. Gladly, Shizune said as she disappeared. Sakura was suddenly slammed in the stomach as she was grabbed by Shizune. Oh come on, that was just one punch, we still have 3 more to do, Shizune said to her. The crowd looked in horror as Sakura, the next genjutsu mistress, was getting her kicked again. Everyone looked at the fight as Kakashi stared wide-eyed at the match. Shizune smiled as she sent another punch, making Sakura hit the floor. Sakura tried to get up, but met the end of Shizune's fist again. Sit the down bitch, Shizune said as she slammed her fist into Sakura, making her crash again. Sakura gritted her teeth at this display. She trained to get stronger, but she was still weak compared to Shizune. Sakura, get your UP, how can you be called my rival if you lose to such a bitch? Ino yelled from the stands. Sakura looked at her. Ino pig, that is right, I can still fight, Sakura said as she got up. Shizune smirked again as she enveloped some chakra into her fist. I said. Her fist met Sakura's head again as she slammed her to the ground. Sit the down. Shizune yelled as the ground went up in dust. Everyone covered their eyes as they tried to look at the arena. Soon the dust settled to see a smiling Shizune holding a battered and bruised Sakura by the throat inside a crater. Shizune looked at the crowd. Someone get this trash out of my sight, Shizune yelled. Soon medics came and took her away. Shizune smiled as she went upstairs. Well, that didn't take long, Kiba said to them. Everyone nodded. Yeah, I figured that she would have lasted longer. Oh well, Hana said to them. Everyone nodded again. I promise not to with her, Kin said to them. Everyone nodded in agreement. Everyone was silent as they looked at the part of the stadium with a giant hole in it. Some of the viewers stared in horror as they saw a battered Sakura carried off by the medics. Others turned to see Shizune still on the field smiling at the pink girl's defeat. Soon that silence was broken by the sound of laughing in the crowd. Ha 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 ha, wow, that wasn't even 10 minutes, ha ha ha, Kiba laughed as he fell to the floor. Everyone looked to see the others laughing also. How the hell do you go down in 4 hits? That was just sad, ha 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 ha, Sum laughed as she held her stomach. Everyone in the audience snarled as they turned to Shizune. You damn bitch, I don't know how, but you cheated. There is no way you can have that much power, a random civilian said to her. Shizune smiled as she turned her head. Hey, it's not my fault the bitch can't fight. If anything, she should get her in license as a ninja revoked for such stupid sense of fighting, Shizune said to them. Everyone heard more laughing as they turned to see Hana laughing also. Got that right, Shizune-san, you definitely got that right, Hana said, trying to hold the laughter in, but to no avail. Even up in the upper stands someone was laughing. Kakashi, what was that? You said Sakura I improved, but that was just awful, Sarutobi said to him, stifling in laughter. Kakashi hid his expression through his mask, but wasn't pleased with the fight. Hokage-sama, that was just luck, Kakashi said to him. I don't think so, Kakashi. Sakura got her snobby kicked, Kurenai said to him. Kakashi cursed as he had to now rely on Sasuke for his job. Hokage-sama, I can assure you and Kurenai that the next fight won't go so easily, Kakashi said to them. Sarutobi and Kurenai looked at him and smiled. Sure, Kakashi. Well, let's get this over with, Sarutobi said as he shunshined down to the arena. Kakashi went to his thoughts as he looked at Naruto smiling in a corner. It won't go your way anymore, Naruto. I don't know how strong you are, but compared to Sasuke you are only a stepping stone, Kakashi thought as he looked at the blonde Hanyu. Clearly Kakashi was in for a big surprise. Naruto smiled as he felt Kakashi's intent settled on him. Naruto sighed as he continued to smile as he saw Sakura carried out of the arena. That little bitch still doesn't know her place. It astounds me that she isn't dead yet, but I will have Shizune remedy that in due time, Naruto thought, an evil smile across his face. Naruto turned to see Sarutobi come down to the arena and raised Shizune's arm. Winner. Shizune Kato, he said to everyone. Shizune bowed, but it seemed there were still some hostile people. Hokage-sama, that is bull, that bitch cheated, didn't she? Some woman yelled. Sarutobi's ki flared as he looked at the audience. Shut your mouth. Shizune won and that is that, now get over it so we can get to the next match, Sarutobi said to them. Everyone reluctantly nodded and sat back down. Sarutobi turned to Shizune. Good job, Shizune. You have excellent skills as a shinobi. Keep it up, he said to her. Shizune nodded. Thank you, Hokage-sama, Shizune said as she began to walk away. Next and last match. Naruto Uzumaki vs Sasuke Uchiha, Sarutobi yelled. Soon the stadium rang with loud cheering as the famed asshole, Uchiha came down in all his eminence. Sasuke smirked as he looked to see Naruto in the stands. Get down here, Dobi. I will show you why you can never surpass me, Sasuke said to him. Naruto narrowed his eyes as Shizune came up behind him. Shizune hugged his muscular body as he turned to face her. Shizune had one of the widest smiles of her life. Have fun, Naruto-kun, but not too much fun. We still have Kyuubi's promise to fulfill, Shizune said to him. Naruto smiled as he turned to her. Kill him nice and slow. Don't worry, Shizu-chan, I am only going to make him see that he isn't Kami as he meets the end of fist, Naruto said to her. Shizune nodded as she gave him a quick kiss. Kick his Naruto-kun, Shizune said to him. Naruto nodded as he shunshined into the field. Man, Sasuke, you are so impatient. What, didn't losing in the academy teach you anything? Naruto asked him. Sasuke sneered as he looked at Naruto. You know as well as I do that I was holding back on you. The fact that I even let you touch me at all shows my mercy to you, Sasuke said to him. The crowd soon laughed at Naruto as they nodded in agreement with Sasuke. Haha, that demon child will never be able to touch Sasuke-sama, an older woman said. Everyone laughed and nodded. That's right, Sasuke will put that damn brat in his place once and for all, a man said, putting his 2 cents in. Hey, maybe if we are lucky he might. Accidentally, the demon's brat. Now that would be a sight to see. As people made their comments, Sum and the rest were not dealing well with this at all. I am so going to chop everyone to pieces for talking to the Gaki like this, Zabuza said with his eyes show annoyance. Everyone nodded. I am so going to love feeding them to my snakes, Anko said as she contemplated over how full her snakes would be. Suddenly an idea went into Anko's head. Anko soon stood up and smiled as she shouted. Let's all make a bet on who wins, Naruto or Sasuke. Place your bets, people, Anko yelled. Sum, Kiba, Zabuza, Hana, and Haku sweat dropped, but soon smiled. Everyone mumbled, but smiled. No one thought twice as they placed their bets. 120,000 yen on Sasuke-sama, someone said. Anko smiled as she went around the arena taking bets. Surprisingly, none went for Naruto. Anko smiled as she saw Tuki and Ayame vote for Naruto. Anko nodded and ran back to her seat. Anko looked at her group. Everyone in the group went for Naruto as Anko put them on paper. Alright, the bets are made. There is no going back, people, Anko yelled. Everyone nodded as they were sure that this win was a shoo-in for Sasuke. Kurenai smiled along with Kakashi and Asuma. So who did you vote for? Asuma asked them. Sasuke, of course, Kakashi said with a smile. My Naruto-kun, Kurenai said to him. Asuma looked at Kurenai. Why him? He asked her. I like voting for the underdog and Naruto-kun won't lose. I don't date weak men, Asuma. So Kakashi, prepared to pay up, and if you don't I will make a genjutsu of your worst nightmare, Kurenai said with a smile. Kakashi sweat dropped, but nodded, acting like it wouldn't make a difference anyway. After the final rounds of applause, Sarutobi sent his hand down. Hajime, he said as he shunshined back up to the top. Sasuke smirked as he got into his Uchiha stance. He looked to see Naruto hadn't adopted a stance yet. Naruto was in some thought. Anko, you are so crafty. It looks like I can afford some things now, Naruto thought with a smile. He was soon brought out of his thoughts as he heard a yell. Naruto looked to see Sasuke charging at him. Naruto smirked as Sasuke brought a fist out. Naruto immediately blocked, but saw Sasuke pivot his foot. Not bad, Naruto said as Sasuke disappeared. Naruto simply ducked as Sasuke brought a kick over his head. Sasuke gasped, but suddenly backflipped away from Naruto. Hey Dobi, this is a fight or are you running away from me? Sasuke said to him. Naruto sighed as he scratched his hair. Listen Sasuke, I really don't want to deal with this right now, so for your own safety will you please just forfeit? Naruto asked him. Truthfully, he was hoping Sasuke would refuse, just so he could kick his again. Sasuke smirked as he looked at Naruto. HMPH, you should be honored to fight me, I am not forfeiting and you will kneel before my power, Sasuke said as he made some hand signs. Kaden. Gokaku no Jutsu, Sasuke yelled as a giant fireball made its way towards Naruto. The crowd cheered as the ball inched closer. Naruto was soon engulfed by the fire as it hit a part of the stadium wall. Boom. Sasuke smirked at the damage and turned around. Rest in hell Dobi, Sasuke said the prayer as he walked away. Soon he stopped to hear laughing coming from the fire. He turned around to see the blonde come out of the fire virtually unscathed. They say that mastering that jutsu proves you a man in the Uchiha, but what we have here is a sorry brat that thinks he is at the top of the world because of that pitiful fireball, Naruto said with a laugh. Sasuke's anger clouded his judgment as he ran back at Naruto. Shut up Dobi, Sasuke yelled as he brought a punch out. Naruto smirked as he stood still. Slam. Sasuke did his hardest punch as his fist met Naruto's face, he smirked at the blonde. Kakashi and Asuma sighed as they looked at Kurenai. Sorry Kurenai, but you lose and you are mine, Asuma said to her. Kurenai turned to him and smiled then looked back. Kakashi sighed. Kurenai, he lost. Sasuke is too strong for him, Kakashi told her. Kurenai smiled as she pointed at the arena. I doubt that Kakashi, Kurenai said to him. Kakashi looked to see Sasuke smiling, but soon he saw Naruto move. Naruto smiled as he grabbed Sasuke's hand. Sasuke gasped as he tried to fight the grip, but Naruto wasn't going to let go. Wow, I can't even tell if you are any good. I mean sure I beat you with one hit in the academy, but I was sure you could punch better than that, but I guess not, Naruto said as he sent his right foot at Sasuke. Sasuke smirked as he used his other hand to block, but was soon sent flying as he crashed into the opposite wall. Naruto sighed as he looked at the crowd. Seriously, you all think I can't beat this? How can you praise such crappy fighting? Naruto asked them. Everyone couldn't say anything, because most were either too shocked or too angry at Naruto to say anything. Naruto soon turned to see Sasuke with his eyes red. Ah, the Sharingan, how original you are Sasuke, Naruto said to him in sarcasm. Sasuke smiled. Whatever Dobi, you can't stop me now that I have awakened, you will know the true power of the Uchiha, Sasuke said to him. Naruto nodded. Yeah, will you just come on already, Naruto said to him. Sasuke smiled as he added chakra to his feet. Soon Sasuke ran at an amazing speed towards Naruto. Naruto could easily follow Sasuke as he saw him turn to the left and right as he got close to him. Naruto smiled as he added chakra to his fist. Might as well start my fun, Naruto said as he punched the ground. Soon the ground shook violently as the Sasuke stopped running to see Naruto smirked with his hand in the ground. Sasuke sneered as he felt the earth shake hard under his feet. Everyone was surprised by the small earthquake, but Shizune and the rest seemed to have smiles on their faces with looks of indifference. I wonder if anyone can make you go all out in this timeline Naru-kun, Shizune said to herself. Sasuke soon fell to the ground as he saw Naruto disappear. My eyes can't follow him, Sasuke said in a sudden realization. Of course they can't, Naruto said as he kicked Sasuke forward. Naruto smiled as he disappeared again. Sasuke screamed as he saw Naruto in front of him. Naruto smiled as he did a spin kick and sent Sasuke into the air. Everyone watched in horror as the Uchiha was toyed with by the demon. Kakashi and Asuma had their mouths to the ground as Kurenai gave a confident grin. Anko and the group were smiling at the feats that Naruto was doing. I wonder what I will buy with all the money we will get, Anko said in her thoughts. Sarutobi turned to Kakashi. Maybe you should sign this now, because just from this I find it surprising that he even finished the first and second stages of the exam, Sarutobi said to him. Kakashi cursed under his mask. How is Naruto this good? He was the dead last of the academy, Kakashi said to them. Anko hearing him shunshined next to him. He is my student after all, Kakashi. Thought I didn't really have to teach him and Shizune anything, Anko said to him. Kakashi turned to her. You didn't teach them anything? He asked her. Nope. They were secretly the very best of the academy. If I had to say this, then Naruto was the best, with Shizune in second, and Sasuke in third, Anko said to him. Kakashi looked back. I doubt that. Come on, Sasuke. I give you permission to use that, Kakashi thought with a smile. Anko looked at Kakashi's smile and smiled also. Whatever you have planned, Kakashi, it won't work on Naru-kun, Anko thought. Naruto appeared in front of Sasuke and he punched him into the ground with a large bang. Soon the arena was covered in dust as Naruto landed. Sasuke groaned as he got up. This is ridiculous. I know I got stronger. I even have the Sharingan, the best Jujutsu in the world, so why is this Dobi winning? Sasuke thought to himself as he punched the group. Sasuke managed to raise to his feet. Sasuke turned to see Naruto walking towards him. You know what I like, bloodline limits, Sasuke. Naruto said to him. Sasuke looked at him confused. Because they can't be copied by those damn eyes of yours, you should be grateful. I will show you something totally beyond you, speed or your Sharingan, Naruto told him. Sasuke seethed as he managed to back up even with his body aching. Sasuke looked up at Kakashi, who nodded with a smile. Sasuke smirked as he looked at Naruto. Sorry, Dobi, but you won't get the chance to use whatever it is, because you will fall before me, Sasuke said as he ran up the side of the wall. Sasuke did his hand signs and gripped his left arm. Naruto smiled as he closed his eyes. Sasuke smirked as lighting surrounded his arm. Guy turned to Kakashi. You didn't, Kakashi. Why the hell would you teach the Uchiha this? Guy asked him. Kakashi smirked. It was for the finals, but I think that Sasuke will end this fight with it, Kakashi said to him. Everyone smiled as they cheered for Sasuke to end the demon spawn. The genin looked in awe at the technique. Naruto is finished. As I said, Tenten, a loser is a loser. He can't defy his destiny, Neji said to her. Tenten rolled her eyes. Says the person who got hiskick by his weak cousin, right, Neji? Tenten said to him. Neji scowled and turned his head. See, Shika, Naruto can't beat Sasuke-kun. I am surprised that he even managed to get those hits on Sasuke as he did, Ino said to him. Shikamaru sighed. Troublesome woman. Don't you know the old saying, it's not over till it's over, Shikamaru said to her. Ino huffed. It seems over to me, Ino said to him. Kiba shouted. Shut up, Ino. Naruto isn't going to lose to that, Kiba said to her. Ino looked at Kiba. Accept the reality, Kiba. Sasuke won, this is over, Ino said to him. Kiba scowled and turned around. I am afraid that I must agree with Ino, Kiba. Naruto has no chance now, Shino said to him. Hinata sighed. Sorry, Shino-kun, but Naruto-kun www won't lose, I know that, Hinata said to him. Kiba smirked. See, bug boy, Hinata has the right belief. Thank you, Hinata, Kiba said to her. Hinata nodded. Sure, Kiba-kun, Hinata said to him. Lee pumped his fist in the air. Their flames of youth shine most brightly. I vow to get this strong, and if I can't, it is. Lee stopped as he was slammed into the floor by Tenten. Thank you for shutting up, Lee, Tenten said as she sat back down. Now let's see who is more right, Tenten said to everyone. Everyone nodded as they continued to watch. Sasuke finished charging as he ran down the wall. Naruto still had his eyes closed as he gathered some chakra. Sasuke smirked at the free hit he would get on Naruto. Everyone cheered loudly as Sasuke inched closer to Naruto. Sasuke smiled as he appeared right next to Naruto. Chidori! Sasuke yelled. Soon the ball of lighting his Naruto as the lightning flashed around the arena. Everyone covered their eyes as the light blinded them. As the light died down, everyone looked to see Sasuke's palm on Naruto's chest. Sasuke smirked as he backed up. Now fall like the dobe you are, Sasuke said to Naruto. Naruto remained silent as he stood with his eyes closed. Kakashi smirked as H turned his head. All right, Hokage-sama, it is over, call the match, Kakashi said to him. Sarutobi smiled as he continued to look. Kakashi stared at him, then put his eyes back on the arena. Kakashi's eye widened in shock at what he deemed impossible. Naruto opened his eyes as he saw his wind covering him. Sorry, Sasuke, but your little lighting ball didn't hit me, Naruto said to him. Sasuke cursed as he saw the wall of wind that placed itself between him and Naruto. Naruto smiled as he gathered enough chakra. All right, Sasuke-chan, I will show you my power, Naruto said as his eyes changed red and turned to slits. Naruto managed to become more feral-like as his whiskers came to view more and his claws sharpened. Everyone in the audience gasped at the sudden power as they saw malicious chakra leak off of Naruto. Because of his Sharingan, Sasuke managed to see a demon fox behind Naruto as he backed away in fear. What are you? He asked in fear. Naruto smiled. I am your worst nightmare, Naruto said as he dropped into a stance similar to the Inuzuka clan. Sume, Hana, and Kiba watched with interest at the adaptation of their stance. Naruto's teeth became longer as he smiled at Sasuke. Akuma Kitsune Kishiki. Shoki Akuma no Jiko, Demon Fox Art. Initial Demon Fox Run, Naruto yelled as his chakra flared and his body became covered in chakra. Sasuke gasped at the sheer ki that was released in the form. The whole audience was on its seat as Naruto smiled. Get ready, Sasuke, Naruto said as he disappeared. Sasuke snapped out of his daze and got up in order to intercept. As soon as he got up, Sasuke was sent into the wall as Naruto showed his speed. Just try and keep up with my speed, Sasuke. You will only hurt your eyes in the process, Naruto said as he grabbed Sasuke and slammed him into the adjacent wall. Sasuke gasped in pain as he laid in Naruto's hands. Naruto smirked as he slammed Sasuke in the stomach. Sasuke gasped as blood poured from his mouth. You say I don't know my place, why don't you grow the up, Naruto said to him. If you think that even for a second that I won't you, then you are out of luck, Naruto said as he disappeared again. Sasuke seethed as he got up only to be slammed into the ground by Naruto. The sheer force made the ground cushion into a small crater. Naruto smiled as he picked up Sasuke. I will show no sympathy for the arrogant and conceited. Just be sure that you know your place, and know it isn't at the top with Kami, it is down here. To tell you the truth, no one here loves you, Sasuke, you are just a breeding tool for more Uchiha. Everyone loves the fact that you possess the Sharingan, but not even your Sharingan or even Kakashi's Sharingan can analyze my speed. So do me a favor and, he slammed Sasuke to the ground as Sasuke dropped out unconscious. Lay there like the son of a bitch that you are, Naruto said as he walked away. Sarutobi sighed as he landed on the field. Medics, Sarutobi yelled. Soon people came out and grabbed Sasuke and took him inside. Winner. Naruto Uzumaki, Sarutobi yelled. Kiba, Sume, Anko, Hana, Zabuza, Kin, Shizune, and Haku all yelled for cheers at Naruto. Naruto smiled as he put up a peace sign. Ino gasped as did Neji and Shino. Kiba, Shikamaru, and Hina cheered also. Kurenai showed a soft smile at her blonde. Oh Naruto-kun, you just made my heart race, Kurenai said to herself. Kakashi gasped along with Asuma and Guy. That's not possible, Kakashi said to them. Kurenai smirked. It is what it is, Kakashi. Sasuke got his kicked by my Naruto-kun, Kurenai said with a smile. Asuma cursed as Kurenai looked at him. And someone will leave me alone from now on, Kurenai said, turning her gaze to him. Asuma reluctantly nodded. Guy went on about youth as people were less than happy at the result. Anko smiled as she held out a bucket. Pay up, you holes. Naruto won, now hand it over or I will turn you into Snake Chow, Anko said to them. All the people in the stadium who made bets gave her their money as the bucket filled. After she was done, Anko had 20 larger buckets full of money that she sealed into a scroll. Naruto walked out of the stadium as his family and some of his friends along with Kurenai followed. Sarutobi sighed as he walked back up to a still stunned Kakashi. I am more than happy to say that you have gate duty in a week, Kakashi, Sarutobi said as he held up the shinobi demotion paper. Kakashi paled. But Hokage-sama, hey, you made your bed, now you are going to lay in it, Chunin Kakashi, Sarutobi said with a smile as he shunshined to his office. Kakashi shunshined to the hospital to check on Sasuke. Soon the stadium cleared with some more than angry villagers from the result of the fight. With Naruto walked out of the stadium to see some of his friends along with his family and Genjutsu mistress. Hello everyone, Naruto said to them. Naruto, that was so cool, I can't believe that you beat Sasuke, the damn chump, Choji said with his eyes on fire and his hand balled into a fist. Naruto smiled. Thank you, Choji, Naruto said to him. You really are unpredictable, Shikamaru said with a smile. It is what a shinobi should be, Naruto said to him. Good WW win, Naruto-kun, Hinata told him. Thank you, Hinata, he said to her. Hinata nodded in deep red. Everyone gave their congrats to Naruto and Shizune, until Haku brought up a question. Though Naruto-kun, couldn't you have ended that faster? She asked him. Naruto smiled. Actually yes, I could have ended that in one punch, but it was fun to see him try, Naruto said with a smile. Everyone laughed in agreement. Kurenai smiled as she tapped his shoulder. Yes, Kurenai-chan, Naruto said to her. Kurenai smiled as she pointed to a private area. Can I talk to you over there? She asked him. Naruto nodded. Sasuke and Sakura laid in their beds as the doctor checked them over, exposing the injuries sustained during the pretty much one-sided match. After the checkup, all medics left the two to rest. Sasuke reminisced over the match. Why damn it, why did I lose? I had the Sharingan and my clan's jutsu, but I still lost, Sasuke thought as he gripped the bed sheets. If I can't even beat the Dobi, how am I supposed to beat him? Sasuke thought some more. Sasuke was soon snapped out of his thinking as he turned to see Sakura getting up. Yonhei Sasu, Sakura stopped as she gripped her stomach in pain. Soon memories of the match flowed into her brain as Sakura seethed and punched the wall. That was so damn humiliating. I trained so damn hard to change, and what the hell do I get? Sakura yelled as she laid back into the chair. Sasuke narrowed his eyes at her as he sighed. HMPH, what made you think you could beat them? I wasn't any better off than you, Sasuke said to her. Sakura gasped as she turned to him. No way, Sasuke-kun is the strongest person in the leaf. If only they gave you more power and training, then I know that you could. Shut up, he said, causing her to gasp. I was toyed with and humiliated by the Dobi in front of thousands of people. Even though I had my Sharingan, I still lost. Sasuke said to her. Sakura looked at her bed sheets as she went over his words. Sasuke-kun, would you do me the honor of teaching you some genjutsu? Sakura asked him. Sasuke turned to her and quirked up an eyebrow. Sakura smiled as she looked at him. Whether I lose or not, I am still rumored to be the next genjutsu mistress, and I know about the Sharingan's genjutsu capabilities, so I think that I could teach you an interesting way to torture the demon and his mates since everyone knows that the Sharingan's genjutsu is unbreakable, Sakura said to him, silently begging that he would say yes. Sasuke stared at her for a full minute as he contemplated her words. Even though she was annoying, he had to admit that she did make some sense. HMPH, fine Sakura, but if you waste my time, I will not hesitate to drop you aside, Sasuke said to her. Sakura nodded in seriousness, though was running around in her head happy. Yes, Sasuke-kun, Sakura said to him as she laid back into the bed. Sasuke followed her lead as he laid in his bed also. Don't worry, Dobi, you may have beaten me today, but I will get stronger until the world crumbles at my feet, Sasuke said with a smirk. Area near the Chunin Stadium. Naruto stood with Kurenai as he tried to process her question. Naruto soon narrowed his eyes as he looked at her. What are you talking about, Kurenai-chan? I am Naruto, who else would I be? He asked her. Kurenai's smile soon disappeared as a frown came across her face. Naruto-kun, I love you, but I don't like it when someone lies to me. I know that you are almost a Jonin-level shinobi just from that fight alone. I also could feel that your chakra was being masked. It actually surprised me that none of the other Jonin figured it out, Kurenai said to him. Naruto sighed as he felt himself get backed up into a corner. He wanted to avoid this conversation for at least a few more weeks until he was sure he could trust her, but Kami wasn't with him today. As expected of a genjutsu mistress, Naruto said with a chuckle. Kurenai smirked at his saying, but soon brought herself back. Naruto pointed to a tree for the two to sit down. Kurenai nodded as they sat down under a tree and felt a soft breeze rush through their faces. Naruto went over some last thoughts as he felt Kurenai's gaze on him. Okay, in a way you are half right in your thinking, Naruto said to her. Kurenai quirked up an eyebrow as she looked at him. Naruto as he looked at her trying to process his statement. What I mean is that I am Naruto Uzumaki, make no mistake about that, he said to her. Kurenai gazed over him as she took in his form some more. Seeing that he wasn't lying so far, Kurenai nodded and let him continue. However, I have been turned into a Hanyu by the Kyuubi, Naruto said to her. Kurenai quirked up an eyebrow simply because she found this hard to believe. Before you continue, can I have some proof, because this sounds impossible, the genjutsu mistress said to him. Naruto sighed as he got up. Try not to faint, he said to her. Kurenai blushed at his words, but nodded. Kai! He yelled as smoke enveloped him. Soon the smoke vanished as Kurenai blushed redder than a tomato. Naruto smiled as he looked at her. You like this form? He asked her. Kurenai slowly nodded as she saw the cute tail that was swaying behind him. Naruto soon sat back against as he noticed Kurenai snuggled against the tail. Naruto chuckled at the sight as he decided to continue. What I say will change my relationship to you and you might go to the Hokage with this, but I might as well tell you, Naruto told her. Kurenai sat back up as she nodded for him to continue. In all truth and seriousness here, Kurenai-chan. I am from the 13 years in the future, Naruto said to her. Kurenai's mind stopped. A part of her could tell he was serious, but the other part thought that this was a joke. I don't have any real proof of showing you that I am from the future, other than the fact that I am much more experienced and stronger than any Genin, Chunin, even Jonin, Naruto said to her. Kurenai nodded, almost too intrigued in his story. I have seen where Konoha is headed, Kurenai, and trust me when I say that it needs to burn to the ground. He paused to gauge her reaction. Kurenai's eyes were wide open as she processed what her boyfriend said to her. Noting the silence, Naruto continued. Simply put, Kurenai-chan, I am going to destroy Konoha, Naruto said to her with a slight demonic tone. Kurenai suddenly backed away from him as she took out a kunai. I am sorry, Naruto-kun, but I will not let that happen. Konoha is a good place and I don't see how you could say that, Kurenai said in the village's defense. Naruto chuckled a little as he looked at her. Do you remember our date a few days ago? Naruto asked her. Kurenai suddenly went through the memories of their date and her time with him. It was definitely one of the happiest times of her life. Of course I do, but what does that have to do with? Do you also remember the glares of hate and death that the people gave you just because you were with me? Naruto told her as he stood up. Kurenai gasped as she did remember all of the looks as people clenched their teeth and their fists to restrain themselves from hitting Naruto while he was with Kurenai. That was just a small portion, Naruto-kun. That doesn't warrant any kind of. For me, that is the entire village minus a very small group of people, Kurenai-chan. I know that you are one of those few people. Kurenai, my childhood was hell. Never once was I able to walk the streets of Konoha and feel safe. Every day I was brought to the brink of death. I am actually surprised that I didn't die long ago. And to add to that fact, you said that you don't like perverts. Do you even know how many men are perverts in this village? Naruto asked her. Kurenai was shocked as she took in all of this. Naruto hadn't told her about the treatment during their date. He did tell her he had a rough childhood, but what he described seemed like heaven compared to this. Slowly Kurenai nodded. Well, even if there are perverts, that is no reason to them for it, Kurenai said to him. Naruto sighed as he felt he should tell her. Kurenai, I really need you to listen to this then. If that is how you feel, this is a must that I must say to you, Naruto said to her as he looked down. Kurenai looked confused as she braced herself. Kurenai-chan, you almost were raped, Naruto said to her. Time suddenly froze for Kurenai as she took in his words. Naruto suddenly shed a tear as he breathed hard to control his emotions. Kurenai slowly cried as she was afraid to let him continue, but nodded. Naruto sighed. This is how it went. Flashback. Kurenai walked the streets of Konoha as she patrolled the village looking for any signs of trouble. As she entered Konoha's red district, Kurenai narrowed her eyes as she felt the perverted stares at her body. Kurenai sighed as she sent some men a death glare. For the most part some men backed off, but there were still quite a few stubborn men who walked up to her. As they came to her, Kurenai stopped, not even bothering to look the men in the eyes. No, now leave me alone, she said as she began to walk away. Some of the men smirked as they ran up to her. Kurenai, having her defenses down at the time, failed to notice their charge as they hit her back, causing her to fall. Kurenai suddenly turned to them in an angry fashion as she got up. Suddenly Kurenai stumbled back to the ground as she felt exhausted. What the hell did you do to me? She asked them. All three men laughed as they looked at her. We are sick of you telling us no all the time, so we figured we would show you just how fun we can be, one of them said to her. Kurenai's eyes narrowed as she looked at the men. Soon the three men closed the distance between her as they inched close to her. Kurenai backed up in fear of being at someone's mercy. Kurenai screamed as the men tried to rip off her shirt and took her behind an alleyway. Wow, she has a nice set, don't you think, boss? Asked one of the men. The leader smiled as he nodded. She sure does. Now let's have our fun, he said to them. Kurenai shut her eyes in horror as she realized she was helpless before the men. Kurenai shook as she waited for her terror to begin, but it never came. Slowly Kurenai opened her eyes to see someone between her and the men. Kurenai couldn't see the man's face as he had his back turned to her. So what are you three holes trying to do to such a lovely woman? The man asked them. The men narrowed their eyes as they took out a few kunai. I don't know who the hell you are, buddy, but don't try to be a hero, one of them said with a laugh. The man sighed as he looked at them. Listen, how about I give you till the count of 5 to get out of my sight before I show you why I was one of the people nominated for the position of Kage, he said to them. Kurenai looked at him and suddenly went through her memories. There were only 2 people nominated for that position, one was Sasuke Uchiha and the other was, Kurenai's face suddenly went up in realization. Naruto Uzumaki, she said to herself. Soon all 3 men charged as the blonde smirked. Don't say I didn't warn you, fool, the blonde said as he grabbed a kunai and charged the 3 men. Naruto soon appeared at the end of the alley as all 3 men dropped dead on the ground. Naruto soon turned to Kurenai, who was slightly trembling. Are you okay, Kurenai? He asked her. Kurenai looked at him and slowly nodded. Yes, Naruto, I am fine, she said to him. Flashback end. Kurenai's face went blank as she processed Naruto's words. Kurenai then turned her head as she looked at the ground in sadness. Naruto looked at her as he began to walk up to her. Could you honestly say that you would want people like that to live, Kurenai? Naruto asked her. Kurenai was too shaken up to answer as she felt her words get shoved down her throat. I protected such people. I put my life on the line for these people and they tried do such things me. Kurenai thought as the memory burned into her brain from Naruto. Kurenai, it took you about 1 month to even start feeling better to return to duties, Naruto said to her. Kurenai's shaking increased as she heard him. Kurenai slowly went to tears as she clutched her body. I told him that they were worth saving. I said that they should live. I defended my own civilians. For the longest time I had been told that Konoha had the most upright civilians in all of the 5 great nations. Is this really the Konoha that everyone loves so much? Kurenai said in her thoughts. Naruto knelt down as he wrapped his arms around her. Kurenai looked at Naruto as she felt his hard muscles on her body. How can my own village do this? I don't know what to believe anymore, Kurenai said to Naruto as she stayed in his hug. Naruto didn't decide to let go of Kurenai until she was calm with herself about the matter. Kurenai, I am sorry for telling you this, but I want you to understand that this village must burn. For me personally, yes, this is a revenge thing, but it is also for others, Kurenai, Naruto slowly said to her. Kurenai didn't respond as Naruto continued to explain. He told her how Sasuke would become the Rokudaime Hokage and because of him, Konoha would begin a world conquest trying to take control of all the great nations. He also told her that their friend's word by Sasuke for not following his foolish orders. Though he was reluctant, he also told her how Sasuke put her under a genjutsu to Anko, which did succeed. Kurenai was crying so much that the top of Naruto's clothes were soaked. Naruto sighed as he let her take in the information. For Kurenai it seemed that the world of Konoha, that peaceful world that she grew up in, was being destroyed as she felt trembling anger right now. Naruto soon let her go as he cupped her sad cheeks. Kurenai-chan, I love you and I absolutely am not going to let this happen. I feel with all my might that this revenge is a just one. I am sorry that I had to tell you this, but I felt that I needed to, Naruto said to her. Kurenai soon began to tremble from the lack of physical contact as she looked up at Naruto with her eyes still red from the tears. Naruto soon turned to walk away. I will destroy Konoha, Kurenai, you can tell Gigi if you want, but that won't hinder me. Really? You could tell all of Konoha and have them try to stop me, but the result is the same, Naruto said to her. Kurenai looked at him then looked at the ground. I am more than willing to wait for your say, Naruto said to her. Kurenai slowly trembled some more as she tried to find the right words. 20 minutes later, nothing. 40 minutes later, nothing. Soon Kurenai stopped trembling as she looked to see Naruto leaning on a tree. Kurenai slowly, but surely got up and walked over to him and sat down. Kurenai slowly leaned her head on Naruto's shoulder as she felt his warmth. Naruto sighed as he slowly brought his arm around her and brought her closer. Kurenai almost flinched, but resisted the urge to because she felt a deep connection to Naruto through the talk. Kurenai slowly went to sleep as she laid on his shoulder. Naruto was more than content with this as he was happy that she didn't attack him nor leave him. If you'll let me, Kurenai-chan, I will not let this happen to you or anyone I love, Naruto thought as he formed a mental link to Shizune. With Shizune and the others, everyone was walking through the village as they were about to go home for the day. Everyone talked about how cool the match of Naruto and Sasuke was along with Shizune and Sakura's match. Shizune chuckled until she heard the voice of her demon mate. You there, Shizu-chan? Yes, Naru-kun, I'm here. What is it? I told Kurenai about the plan, and she didn't really take it well. What I mean is that the sadness of knowing this overloaded her and she is now sleeping on my shoulder. Tell everyone that I might be getting back quite late. I can't leave Kurenai-chan alone like this. Shizune smiled as she gave a mental nod. Sure, Naruto-kun, console her for as long as she needs it. I can help everyone with their training, but right now Kurenai is your main focus. Alright then, Naruto-kun, see you at home. See you at home, Shizu-chan. Naruto, having finished the conversation, ended the mental link. Shizune smiled as she ran up to the group. Alright everyone, Naruto-kun is getting back late. So we are going to have our training today. Now let's all go back to the compound and train hard, Shizune said to them. Everyone nodded with a smile as they all went home. With Naruto and Kurenai, 4 hours later. Naruto woke up as he shifted his gaze over to the setting sun. Naruto smiled slightly as he turned to see the sleeping Genjutsu mistress. Naruto could see a few tears roll off her cheeks as he slowly planted a kiss on her cheek, causing her to smile. Kurenai slowly woke up and gazed at Naruto, who was smiling. Kurenai slowly frowned, then looked at the ground. Is that really how the future for Konoha will be? She asked him. Naruto sighed as turned to look forward. Yes, Kurenai-chan, I won't let that happen though, Naruto told her with a fierce determination. Kurenai slowly smiled as she looked at him. Soon one last question formed into her head. What did they do to you? She asked him. Naruto's eyes suddenly slitted as he tried to control his breathing. They bound me and Shizune and took us to the top of the Hokage mansion. Then they forcefully took away my and Shizune's child from her arms and gave her to Sasuke. Sasuke then my child in front of me as the village began to beat my dead child, Naruto said to her. Kurenai gasped at his pain as she looked at him. Kurenai could always feel boundless strength from Naruto, but even he had his limits. Naruto always had a forgiving heart, but even the most forgiving heart can only take so much forgiveness until it virtually crumbles to pieces. Kurenai could feel her hatred for Konoha flare, though she still felt a bit sad for turning against her home, she knew that this was right. Naruto-kun, let me join you in the destruction of Konoha, Kurenai said to him. Naruto turned to her virtually shocked. Are you sure, Kurenai-chan? I don't want you to feel that you were forced to join me, Naruto said to her. Kurenai smiled as she shook her head. No, Naruto-kun, I love you and I can see that this isn't a village worth saving if this is its future. I will fight beside you and whoever you bring into your plans, Kurenai said to him with a lot of determination and courage. Naruto smiled as he kissed her on her lips. Kurenai slowly accepted the kiss as she let his tongue roam around in her mouth. Soon her tongue fought back as they wrestled for dominance. After the need for air became too great, both parted with a slight pant. Naruto smiled as he hugged Kurenai. Thank you, Kurenai-chan. I can't tell you how happy I am to have you by my side. I swear that won't happen to you in the future won't happen here. I will protect you and all of my precious people, Naruto said to her. Kurenai slowly cried, but nodded. Thank you, Naruto-kun. I am more than willing to help you with your revenge, Kurenai said to him. Naruto nodded as the two got up and walked back to Kurenai's house. With Gaara, Kankuro, Temari, and Baki, everyone was sitting around the table as Baki contemplated their words. You're telling me that not only does he know about the invasion, but also that our cage was. Baki asked them. All three nodded in agreement. Baki sighed as he went into a thinking pose. If what he says is true, then we are in big trouble. We need to confirm this, and if he is right we will need to overthrow Orochimaru and pull this invasion back before it is too late, Baki said to them. Temari soon stood up. So what are we supposed to do for now? She asked him. Baki soon turned to her. You three will continue to train, but I will go back to Suna and report this to the others, Baki said as he shunshined out of sight. The three siblings soon sat down. Well, that kid certainly did figure us out, Kankuro told them. Temari nodded. The moon loomed over Konoha as people soon populated the streets. As people entered shops and stores, most couldn't resist staring at a certain blonde and his brunette companion. As they walked through the streets, the brunette couldn't help but sneer. Man, I have never been so angry at my own village before, Kurenai said to him. Naruto sighed as they continued to walk. It's the reality, Kurenai, but I will change that reality as I make Sasuke squirm, Naruto said to her. Kurenai nodded as they decided to ignore the glares and shunshined out of sight. Kurenai's apartment. As the couple appeared in front of Kurenai's house, they could only stare at the door as they tried to figure out what to say. After a few minutes of silence, Kurenai decided to open the door. Naruto soon looked up and smiled. Are you going to be okay, Kur-chan? Naruto asked, a little worried for Kurenai at the moment. Kurenai soon stopped as she turned to Naruto. It made her smile that he was so worried about her. Kurenai smiled as best she could and nodded. Yes, Naruto-kun, I am going to be just fine. I will see you tomorrow. She asked him. Naruto looked at her and shook his head. Sorry, Kur-chan, but I found out who my mother is and that I am going to look for her tomorrow, Naruto said to her. Kurenai looked down, but shook her head. Oh, okay, Naruto-kun, Kurenai said, a little sad that she wouldn't be able to spend time with Naruto tomorrow. Naruto sighed as he decided to walk away. As he reached the stairs, Naruto's eyes grew wide in realization as he stormed back. Hey, Kur-chan, Naruto said to her. Kurenai looked at him in confusion, wondering why he was back. Yes, Naruto-kun, she asked him. Naruto smiled as he looked up at her. Do you want to come with me? Naruto asked her. Kurenai soon looked at him and brought up a thinking pose. Sure, I would love to go naturally, but I have to train my Shino and Hinata for the month, Kurenai thought. Kakashi had suddenly dropped the two genin on her as he told her that he didn't have the time to train them and would be training Sasuke. Kurenai sighed, but did agree to train them for the month. Naruto smiled as he seemed to be reading her mind. If it's Shino and Hinata that you're worried about, then you can bring them also, Naruto said to her. Kurenai soon slammed a fist into her palm. That's right, I could do that. I could say that it was for training and we could help Naruto-kun at the same time, Kurenai said in her thoughts. Naruto watched as Kurenai went through various emotions and faces. Kurenai went from confused to thinking to sad to happy. Man, I haven't seen anyone go through their emotions like that except me, Naruto said to himself. Naruto watched as Kurenai smiled and nodded. Yes, I can do that, Naruto-kun. When are you leaving? Kurenai asked him. Naruto soon smiled as he grabbed Kurenai's hands, almost making her blush. I am leaving with Sum-chan and Anko-chan at 4 o'clock p.m. Don't be late, Naruto said to her. Kurenai nodded with a smile as she closed her door. See you tomorrow, Naruto-kun, Kurenai said to him. Naruto nodded with a smile as he shunshined home in a whirl of fire. Namikaze compound. Naruto appeared in front of his house as he saw that the lights were on. Naruto smiled as he walked up to the door and opened it. I'm home, everyone, Naruto yelled. Naruto was soon tackled by his snake mistress as he got his bearings. Nice to see you too, hubby Harem, Naruto said to her. Anko nodded with a smile as she gave him a quick kiss on the cheek, almost making her tail sway behind her. So how is Nai-chan? Anko asked him. Naruto smiled as he got up. He soon graced his hand across Anko's cheek as he looked at her. She is going to be fine and she is coming with you, me, and Sum-chan tomorrow along with her squad, Naruto said to her. Anko nodded with a smile. So we are look for Kushina tomorrow? She asked him. Naruto looked at her and nodded. That's right, Anko, so go get packed and please tell Sum-chan for me, okay? Naruto said to her. Anko nodded as she ran upstairs. Naruto soon looked around to see that almost everyone had gone to sleep. Naruto chuckled as he roamed the house. Okay, either everyone drained themselves training or they all fought Shizu-chan and got their butts kicked. Either of these, but I have no idea, Naruto said as he decided to go upstairs. With Anko. Anko roamed the room as she looked for Sum. Anko was quite happy to go out the village for a while as her tail swayed, showing her happiness. I can't wait to leave, Anko said as she came up to Sum's room. Anko smiled as she knocked on the door. Sum soon smiled as she got up from bed and went to the door and opened it to see Anko. Hey Anko, what's up? Sum said to her. Anko smiled as she looked at Sum. Sum, we are leaving with Naruto-kun, myself, you and Nai-chan tomorrow, Anko said to her. Sum smiled as she sighed. I take it he got her to agree then? Sum asked in an excited tone. Anko nodded. Yup. So get packed for tomorrow, we leave at 4 p.m. tomorrow, Anko said to her. Sum nodded as she closed her door to get packed. Anko soon ran to her room as she felt excited. Time to pack, Anko said as she closed the door to her room. Naruto smiled as he walked upstairs. He could hear the conversation between Anko and Sum as he came upstairs. Naruto could also hear Sum hum as she packed her clothes and some weapons to take with her. Naruto smiled as he headed for his room. As he entered his room, he could see Shizune on the bed reading a book called Introduction to Torture. Naruto smiled as he stayed at the door. No, hello Shizune-chan, Naruto asked her. Shizune looked from her book to see her blonde at the entrance. Oh, sorry Naruto-kun, but this is a real great book. Did you know that if you slice the stomach open and quickly repair the skin, you can cause the acids to fall out and literally burn the victim, causing unimaginable pain? Shizune said to her in a more than eccentric tone. Naruto smiled as he took of his clothes and went to get his pajamas. No, I didn't know that, Shizu-chan, but that sounds very interesting, Naruto said to her in a demon-like chuckle. Shizune nodded as she set her book down. She soon walked over to Naruto and wrapped her arms around the blonde Hanyu. Be sure to bring her back, Naruto-kun. I would really like to see my mother-in-law, Shizune said to him. Naruto simply nodded. I will bring her back, Shizune-chan, count on that, Naruto said to her. Shizune smiled as she kissed his cheek. Naruto chuckled as he accepted her love. As Shizune pulled back, she went back to her book. Naruto soon laid in the bed and went to sleep. Next morning, 9 o'clock. Naruto soon stirred awake as his eyes adjusted to the sunlight. Naruto turned to see Shizune sleeping next to him. Naruto smiled as he kissed her cheek, causing Shizune to mumble a little before settling down back into her dream. Naruto soon got out of bed and went to wash up. Okay, all supplies are packed and now I should go to Gigi to tell him I am leaving, Naruto thought as he washed his body. With Kurenai. Kurenai woke up from her bed as she smiled. She soon got up and headed for the washroom. Okay, time to go meet the Shino and Hinata and tell them about the recent events, Kurenai said with a smile as she took a quick shower and put on her clothes and walked out the door. Training field. Shino and Hinata were quietly sitting in the field as they waited for the Genjutsu mistress to appear and help them with their training. When do you think she will get here? Shino asked her. Hinata looked at him and sighed. I have no idea, Shino-kun, but I hope that she gets here soon. It would be a waste of a day not to come, Hinata said to him. Shino simply nodded. Oh well, patience is a virtue, I guess, Shino said to her. Hinata chuckled with a nod as they waited for Kurenai. 13 minutes later, Kurenai soon arrived at the field as she spotted the two genin. Kurenai smiled as she decided to make herself known. Good morning, you two, Kurenai said to them. Both genin looked up to see the Genjutsu mistress in front of them as they got up. Good morning, Kurenai-sensei, they said with a bow. Kurenai nodded as she led them to the center of the field. Alright, you two, before we start your training, I want to tell you both something, she said to them. Shino and Hinata quirked up as they looked at her. What is it, sensei? Shino asked her. Kurenai smiled as she looked at them. We are going on a little trip, she said to them with a smile. Both looked at each other, then at her in a confused look. Where are we going? Hinata asked her. Kurenai smiled as she looked at them. We are going on a bit of a mission along with some other people, Kurenai said to them. Both became wide-eyed, though with Shino and his glasses no one knew it. We will be leaving at 4 p.m. today, so be sure to get packed for the trip, Kurenai said to them. Both reluctantly nodded, but only from the lack of information. Alright, now we will start your training, but try not to wear yourselves out, she said to them. Both nodded as they got up. Alright, to start we will be training you in elemental ninjutsu. I know that your clans might look down on this and tell you to rely on your clan techniques, but you and even they need to learn to diversify their abilities, Kurenai said to them. Both nodded as Kurenai took out a slip of paper. Alright, I want you to channel your chakra through this paper. It will tell us what kind of affinity you both have. If the paper burns, then you have fire. If it turns wet, it is water. If it crinkles, you have lightning. If it crumbles into dust, then you have earth. Got all that? She asked them. Both nodded as they each took a paper and channeled their chakra into it. After a few minutes of channeling, Kurenai looked at the papers. Shino's paper crumbled and Hinata's paper crinkled. Okay. Earth for Shino and lighting for Hinata. Nice job, Kurenai said to them. Both nodded as they looked at her. Kurenai smiled as she took out a scroll. Sorry, Shino, but I don't know any Doden techniques, so here is a scroll describing the use of Doden, and a number of jutsus are in it also, Kurenai said to him. Shino nodded, grabbed the scroll and walked off. Kurenai soon turned her gaze to Hinata. Also, Hinata, I have a limited knowledge of Raiden techniques, so I can help you get started, but you might have to check the library for more research, Kurenai said to her. Hinata nodded as she listened to Kurenai explain what she knew about lighting nature. Shino read through the scroll, making sure to note the exercises involved in said scroll. With Naruto. Naruto smiled as he walked through the streets, completely ignoring the obvious glares that people were giving him. Naruto smiled evilly under his clothes as he looked at them. I can only smile when I think of ripping you people to shreds. Know that only my precious people will be living through the surprise that I have planned for you holes, Naruto said in his thoughts. As Naruto walked, he suddenly looked to the right to see his favorite ramen stand. Naruto smiled as he went inside. Hello Oji-san. Hello Ayame-chan, Naruto said to them. Both turned their heads to see their favorite blonde in a seat. Oh Naruto-kun, how are you doing? Ayame said to him. Naruto smiled as he sat down. Not doing too bad here Ayame-chan. I am about to go on a mission to find my mother, Naruto said to them. Both were shocked that Naruto's mother was alive, but were happy to know that Naruto had a family member still alive. That sounds wonderful Naruto-kun, you will have to bring her here when you get her to come back, Ayame said to him. Naruto nodded as he took a pair of chopsticks. So what will you have Naruto? Tuki asked him. Naruto smiled as he looked at the man. One bowl of miso ramen and another bowl of barbecue ramen, Naruto said to him. Tuki smiled with a nod as he and Ayame started to prepare the food. Naruto smiled as he saw them work. I really missed you guys, Naruto thought. In the future, Tuki and his daughter left the village due to the insanity of Sasuke's orders. Naruto was really sad when they left, but wished them luck wherever they were. Naruto hadn't heard from them all his life after they left. I will definitely save you guys, Naruto nearly said aloud. Ayame turned around and looked at Naruto. You say something Naruto? She asked him. Naruto looked at her and chuckled. No Ayame-chan. Just talking to myself, Naruto said to her. Ayame nodded as she presented the 2 bowls of ramen to Naruto. Naruto smiled as he smelled the awesome aroma coming from both bowls. Naruto broke his chopsticks as he clasped his hands. Itadakimasu, Naruto said as he slurped the miso ramen first. Naruto smiled as he savored the taste of ramen in his mouth. Tuki and Ayame smiled as their customer ate their food with gusto. Naruto soon finished the miso as he gulped the soup. Perfect as always Oji-san, Naruto said to him. Tuki nodded with a smile as he looked at Naruto. Of course it is Naruto. I am not old enough to kick the bucket yet, Tuki told him. Naruto nodded with a smile as he slurped the barbecue ramen. 10 seconds later, Naruto gulped the soup and set the bowl on the counter. Naruto smiled as he wiped his mouth. Delicious, thanks Oji-san. How much do I owe you? Naruto asked him. Tuki smiled as he looked at Naruto. That will be 440 yen Naruto, Tuki told him. Naruto nodded as he pulled out his wallet and paid the man his money. Naruto smiled with a wave as he walked off. I will definitely save you too, Naruto thought as he shunshined to the Hokage mansion. Hokage Mansion, 12 o'clock p.m. Sarutobi was currently tackling his greatest thing that could cause the cage to suffer, his paperwork. Sarutobi sighed as he went through the stacks upon stacks of paperwork laid out in front of him. Soon his eyes widened as he saw a Shunshin appear in his office with a blonde stepping out of said Shunshin. Sarutobi smiled as he stopped his paperwork. Good afternoon Naruto-kun, Sarutobi said to him. Naruto smiled as he nodded. Good afternoon Gigi, he replied. So how can I help you today? He asked him. Naruto smiled with a nod as he stepped forward. I would like to start looking for my mother, Naruto said to him. Sarutobi's smile slightly wavered as he sighed. I knew this was going to come eventually though I didn't think so early. Well I am not going to stop you, go find your mother, but you must have an escort with you, he said to the blonde Hanyu. Naruto nodded. I know that Anko-chan, Kurenai-chan, Sum-chan, Shino and Hinata are coming with me, Naruto said to him. Sarutobi slightly gasped as he heard the list. Well okay I suppose that is alright. When are you leaving? He asked Naruto. Naruto smiled as he shrugged his shoulders. Around 4 o'clock p.m., is that okay? He asked. Sarutobi nodded and signed a document. Alright you are cleared to leave, good luck Naruto-kun, Sarutobi said to him. Naruto nodded as he headed for the door, but soon turned around. Oh, and Gigi, Sarutobi looked up at him. Yes, Naruto-kun, he answered. Naruto smiled as he leaned on the door. You might want to put the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu to good use and get rid of that big stack of paperwork, Naruto said as he closed the door, leaving a dumbfounded Sarutobi behind his desk. Naruto smiled as he walked out of the mansion, only to fall on the ground laughing as he heard Sarutobi. Stupid, stupid, stupid. What is wrong with me? He yelled. Naruto laughed as he tried to calm down. After a few minutes of laughing, Naruto got up and began to walk through the village. Soon Naruto smiled evilly as he knew his next destination. Might as well find that no good excuse for a pervert, Naruto said as he went to the only place he knew where the Toad Sage was. Naruto appeared in front of the hot spring as he looked around. Alright, where are you, Ero Sennin? Naruto wondered as he looked around. Naruto smiled as he heard perverted giggling from the right side of his face. Naruto turned his head to see said man peeking through a hole and writing in his book. Naruto sighed as he walked up to the man. Naruto narrowed his eyes as he focused some chakra to his foot. Naruto smiled as he took some air into his lungs. Ah, you are a pervert, Naruto yelled as he kicked the Sannin into the women's bath. All women screamed as they saw the white-haired man crash into their side. Jiraiya looked up and smiled sheepishly as they all cracked their fists. And now, ladies, there is no need to get violent, he said as Naruto covered his ears. Soon the man's scream filled Konoha as everyone wondered where the sound came from. Sarutobi was in his chair as he smiled. Got what you deserved, Jiraiya, he said as he continued his paperwork with his shadow clones. After the harsh beating, Jiraiya slowly emerged from the bathhouse to see Naruto sitting on the bridge. That was a dirty move, Gaki, Jiraiya said to him. Naruto rolled his eyes. Whatever, Ero Sennin. Well, I got what I wanted, so I am going to go. Oh, and I am sure that my father would be disappointed in you for how you treated your godson, Naruto said, causing the Jiraiya's eyes to widen. What is your name, Gaki? He asked Naruto. Naruto sighed as he looked at Jiraiya. Jiraiya flinched at how cold his eyes were, but seemed to manage. Really, I don't think you have the right to know my name, but I will say it. I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, Naruto said to him. Jiraiya flinched as he stepped back. Was that a shock to you? Well, maybe if you stayed here like you were supposed to, then you might have known that instead of writing your perverted load of crap, Naruto said to him. Jiraiya narrowed his eyes at Naruto as he stepped forward. Listen, Naruto, I might have made some mistakes, but I was your father's sensei and I think I deserve some respect, Jiraiya said to him. Naruto narrowed his eyes, but then soon started to laugh as he looked at Jiraiya. You deserve respect, huh? Well, when you do something worthy of respect, let me know, because from all I have seen, you are just a stupid pervert whose only pastime is writing for that damn book of yours. You sure as hell haven't earned my respect of all, Jiraiya, so don't demand my respect like you can get it so easily with just a few words, Naruto said to him. Jiraiya sighed as he sat next to Naruto. Then how about to make up for lost time, I train you and have you sign the Toad contract. Your father was a summoner for toads and I think you should follow him, Jiraiya said to Naruto. First of all, Jiraiya, I don't give a damn what you think and I will not sign with the toads only because your name is there. You say my father signed for them, well, good for him, but I will find my own summoning contract, Naruto said to him. Jiraiya gasped as he watched Naruto get up. I have had enough of talking to you. Goodbye, Jiraiya, Naruto said as he shunshined out of sight, leaving Jiraiya to ponder his words. Naruto sighed as he shunshined home and grabbed his stuff. After a quick kiss from Shizune, Naruto headed for the gates of Konoha. Gates of Konoha. Naruto smiled as he appeared in front of the gates. Soon, Kuromaru, and Anko appeared behind him. Hey Naruto-kun, ready to find your mother? Anko asked him. Naruto smiled. You know it, Anko, Naruto said to her with a smile. Soon Kurenai along with Shino and Hinata appeared. Naruto, what are you doing here? Shino asked him. Naruto smiled as he looked at Kurenai then Shino. I am going on a trip, Naruto said to them. Both gasped.